You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 101, One Rouge Rogue, featuring the secret origin of the Savage FINcast.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that's like a sneeze you kept catching your nose. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And I welcome you all to our 101st... Shoot, how's that go?
101st
Regular episode.
FINcast?
No, like when you want to say it's your first issue, but...
All new, all exciting.
All new, all exciting 101st episode.
Like Dalmatians, baby. 101. Beginner. We got it.
Not like those sequels, though.
No. Creepy. It's creepy CG dogs. I don't like it.
They had sequels? I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, there's absolutely 102 Dalmatians.
102. And yeah, don't you love that as a clever naming scheme? 102. Brr. So good.
So we had a lot of outpouring of well wishes for our 100th episode. We all appreciate that. But we also realized that we did spend all of last episode talking about our friends and former co-hosts, but we didn't talk much about ourselves.
And isn't that what's really important?
Yeah, really. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, that's why I do this show, to stoke my ego.
Right.
To talk about myself.
Just that nugget of celebrity. So good.
You know, I was reminiscing on Twitter today that the coolest part about my job is that I get to talk to Eric Larson 2 or 3 times a year, which does make me cooler than most of you.
This is a job now?
Oh, yeah.
But
I like all the tail. Not gonna lie. It's like a...
Raven, I could believe you could have gotten tail from this gig. I believe it's possible.
Not me, dude.
Not probable, but possible.
It's so fun. Jokes aside, bros, go ahead and emote. Like, you know what? All right, hold on. Actually,
here we go.
This is what I wanted to say. You know, as the young blood of us 3 of this treacherous trio, I have to say, I wanted to ask you, fine gentlemen. You know, you truly are the progenitor. You know, progenitor. You started this shit. You were there, ground zero, the nucleus. I say, if you strip away all the Nick Justices and the Raven Perez's and the Adam Pruitts and the Scott Jameses and whoever else, like I did that. I'm sorry, but like, you know, it's Jim and Craig. There's your rocks. There's your standbys, dude. How do you fine gentlemen feel with 100 FINcasts in your past? What's that feel like, dude? Because in a lot of ways, like I said, I've been on a lot of shows, but man, I've not been on all of them. You guys are like the rock. What's that? What are your feelings? Did you ever imagine that you would be standing on this precipice, looking back at your achievements? The journey behind you?
I had no reason to think that this would be going on at the 9-year mark still. I mean, I enjoy doing it, but who would have thought? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you felt that, Jim, but...
I mean, when I created the show, I didn't expect it to succeed or fail, to be honest. I figured it would be what it was. Either the show would work, or it wouldn't.
It's important too. The roots of it. Which came first, Jim? Was it the thread on the forum where just a bunch of passionate Dragon fans got together and were like, "What are some things we can do to help?"
I guess I can give you the history because
that
ties into it, but it's not only that. I wanted to do a Savage Dragon fanzine.
Super Freaks. Yeah.
Super Freaks. I called it Super Freaks because I thought that was a clever name.
It is, actually.
So what I wanted to do was to basically create a fanzine where people could make fan articles or fan comics or fan bios.
Mm-hmm.
I was inspired by the fanzines that I see over in the UK for 2000 AD. Shocker of shock. There's a couple of fanzines out there for both 2000 AD itself, Judge Dredd itself, and Strodium Dog itself. Strodium Dog is the number 2 comic from 2000 AD. And those were all going back 10 years ago, and they're still going on now. The fanzine community over there. So I wanted to do the fanzine. So I tried to get a little bit of interest on that, but it was clear I wasn't going to get any traction on that. It wasn't going to work.
Right.
I think Adam was vaguely interested, but Adam's one guy.
Right. You need a lot of labor.
A lot of labor, a lot of love.
Yep.
And it didn't seem to go anywhere. So then what can we do to promote Savage Dragon thread popped up.
Right.
And we were talking
on the old image forums.
Yep. And we were talking about stuff like infographics and just reviews and other things. And I said podcast. And so I sent out the call to various names I saw posting on the forum fairly often. So I went straight to Craig and Nick because I saw their names pop up the most.
Sure.
And they said yes to a demo, to a test. After that, I think Nick just didn't have time because he was still doing a bunch of other work, comic work. Right. He was just too busy. So I got Adam, who was another name I saw popping up all the time.
Absolutely. Super active.
And when Adam had to bow out, Raven, I believe we had been talking, we had a repartee at that point, and I said, okay, Raven's next guy on the list.
I always made sure. Here's the thing. I can tell you this as my perspective as somebody who was just a forum poster. I was always just fucking thrilled, dude, that you guys were doing the FINcast. And if you remember, I would be like, thank you for enhancing my Savage Dragon reading experience. Because the thing is that as I had started reading Savage Dragon, those forums, they were cool and all, but a lot of Savage Dragon fans are just so they've been there just everybody had nicknames and just knew each other from Brotherhood of the Fin.
Right.
A lot of the time, I just felt like an outsider a lot, and so I would just haunt and I'd lurk, but I wouldn't super get involved or whatever, because I kind of could I could just tell these were just a bunch of bros that just knew each other, And I want to get in there and be like, hey, guys, oh, yeah, funny that thing you said that I don't get. But, just force my way in. So it was cool.
That's the best way to get in.
I mean, it's the worst. But, everyone hates that guy. But, the thing is that the cool thing about the FINcast as, just an outsider was that it created a space where I didn't feel like an outsider just listening to you guys just talk about the latest issue. And you know how it is with a podcast. You just keep listening and you keep listening. And then you have this weird sort of kinship with the people.
It feels like you have
podcast.
Friends.
Right, yeah. And it's not just the FINcast. I mean, it's if you listen to any podcast long enough, you'll have that weird feeling like you're just checking up on some old bros.
Right.
And
you're listening into a conversation, on a basis or whatever it is.
And that, Raven, is why I watch Let's Plays.
Yeah. No, I get it, dude. I used to be a Let's Play hater, and I've turned the corner on it because I get it. You do have that. So I was thankful because you guys were kind of the work you were doing, I super appreciated because, I didn't have any, I had some coworkers and they would read my copy of Dragon.
Right.
And they always would love it. And they'd be like, oh, it's so cool. But you guys were fucking fin heads. You fucking knew your shit. you and Craig just dropping references. Oh, this was from that, and this was from that. And of course, my coworkers, they like Dragon, but they didn't have the like frame of reference for anything. They were just new and like getting it like me. So you guys were like really truly like a living, breathing Wikipedia. It was really just, it was more fun. So that was my like outsider perspective. I was like, oh man, this is fucking awesome. So yeah, very cool.
I'm pretty sure I picked you because Adam had comic experience, and I thought we needed another comic experience person, a creator perspective.
I tried to bring that to it,
and I think though, like even through the years as we've been doing these, I mean, I probably talk to you guys more than most of my like childhood friends at this point, just because we talk like all the time, whether it's shooting, you know, messages back and forth about Savage Dragon or other things at this point now, because we've become pretty good friends, or just at least, you know, we talk for, you know, 3 to 4 to 5 hours every other week, whether it's 3 hours here and 2 hours in prep time or after the show. So I talk to you two guys more than like most of my friends at this point, or probably more, not even like a thought in that.
Same,
outside
dude.
my family, you know, basically.
Sure,
which is
yeah.
pretty crazy. Going on, you know, 9 years now. So just making the friendships through this. I mean, it's funny too, the internet. I mean, you know, Raven, you've met both of us separately. I've never met Jim in person, but yet we talk, you know, constantly. And,
Yeah.
and it's pretty cool. It's kind of a weird dynamic, but cool in its own way.
It's funny because, like, you know, even like I'll see some dumb shit and I'll be like, oh, I got to tag, you know, Craig in that. Or I'll see some dumb shit and I'll be like, oh, Jim's got to see this, you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it is. It's funny how that works.
It's just mind blowing to me that it's been 9 years. Like, 9 years is a long time, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I look back at issues of Savage Dragon 10, 15 years ago, and it feels like yesterday, you know?
Think about this, dude. If a kid started kindergarten, and like as we started the show, he would be like, you know, a freshman in high school.
Well, you don't have to tell me, man. My daughter just turned 10. She was, you know, a baby when we started.
Right. Yeah, man. It's wild. It's wild as hell, dude.
It's cool, though. I really enjoy doing these because it brings a whole new level of appreciation to a single issue comic that you can sit there and pretty much talk for 3 hours about a single issue. For most people, a single comic maybe takes 15 minutes of their life and they just toss it.
Right.
But to treat it like a work of art and really delve into it and just really kind of discuss what we're looking at, what we're reading, what we're seeing, it's really fun, you know, and it's not boring to me. Like, you know, there's so many podcasts that are all the same, you know.
Yeah.
Do we need another comic book news podcast or
Right.
whatever it is, you know, like or anything like that, you know. Music review podcast. I mean, to do this it's a real niche, but it's also it's a comic book I love. It's a comic book that, you know, lasts forever. You know, it seems like in the world of comics, what other comic book could you do a podcast on for 9 years without it rebooting or getting canceled, or, you know, unless it's, you know, maybe something from DC or Marvel, but even those seem to get rebooted.
I mean, I'm on a Legion podcast and we're dealing with the fifth reboot just this year. So
Wow.
I mean, the podcast is continuous, but we've been dealing with this for a while.
Yeah, it's just fun to see someone's vision over these past 9 years.
Yes.
And how it's evolved and changed.
And I believe the first issue we covered was issue 175, which was
Yeah.
freaking nuts when you go back and think about what we actually covered all the way back then, because it wasn't just 175. I believe we also were covering like a next issue project issue.
Yep. Supreme
Cracked Comics. Well, what had come out was the extreme preview showing the previewing Eric's Supreme.
Yeah.
And also the Vanguard backup was going on. it was a really exciting time for Savage Dragon.
Think about, like, this show has, like, been going during 2 different presidencies. The entirety of 2 different presidencies. Like, what the hell, dude? It's nuts.
Yeah.
In our second episode, when did we start covering Supreme proper? I can't remember. All I know is it was going on at the time. Crazy.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem that long ago, really, to me, but 10 years is a long time. Almost 10 years, you know. It's wild. But I've had a lot of fun. It's been cool. You know, we've tried different things since then. We've had, like, the Facebook page. Like, we've kind of seen the demise of the image boards and the rise of the Facebook page.
That was unfortunate when the image boards got nuked. Yeah. Especially because it was pretty unexpected.
The rise of Walking Dead?
No, that was, well, I guess once the TV show happened.
Yeah,
it really
that's what I mean.
off.
It's like the graduation.
Of course, by 2012, Walking Dead was old hat for us.
Sure. Think about this. I want you to think about this. When we started, when you guys started the FINcast, you said 175, so that would have been like 2011. PlayStation 3 was just 2 years old.
Oof.
And we're getting ready to have PlayStation 5 in a few weeks.
We're that old.
Yeah, dude. We went from 3 to 5.
It's pretty crazy. Well,
we've had a lot of fun guests too. We got to mention our guests that we've had over the years. I mean, we started out the gate almost with guys like Josh Eichhorn and Michelle Fife and.
Well, we got Gary and we got Frank and we got
Joe Keating.
Keating was on, that's right, because he was doing the funnies.
Of course, Eric's been on very regularly since.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's also been the fun part of doing these is getting to talk to the creators and actually making friends with them, you know.
Yeah.
How Eric has been just so open and available to us to come on and for us to just pester him with questions and stuff like that. And he doesn't mind. It's pretty awesome. I mean,
not only does he not mind, he would absolutely be on way more.
Right.
Like he said, he's like, dudes, just have me on as much as you want.
And I know a lot of listeners are for that, but at the same time, I feel like if we have him on too much, you run out of question. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, sure.
It's like it's not so special, or you just run out of questions at times. And I'd rather have a good, solid 2 hours of decent questions than, every 2 weeks only, be able to come up with 10 minutes worth of decent questions.
Right. No, I like the approach that you guys take. I like the way it's sort of like, save it for the main event kind of a feeling. Yeah. So you guys, again, you never would have thought it would have come this long.
I literally didn't have any expectations. I am surprised it has gone this long, but I'm also not surprised it has also gone this long. I mean, I briefly flirted with ending the show.
Whoa!
There was a brief period where I wasn't feeling it.
What? Whoa! News break! Breaking news!
I mean, it wasn't anything I discussed. It was just one of those things that one of the days I would go, guys, I don't want to do this anymore.
Wow.
Would even be funnier.
No, it wasn't you guys. I mean, I would have probably given you the option to keep the show going. Because, especially Craig, because it's basically yours.
I would have just went under a different name, like the Savage FINcast.
Yes.
Wow. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, there's nothing to it. It's nothing specific. It was just I was kind of in a malaise.
About what time? What time frame? Like issue-wise, do you recall?
I can't even recall that. It was like 5 years ago. I will say it was probably around the time Craig was having his kid and wasn't on as much.
Oh, sure.
It's nothing to say. It was a little bumpy at the time. We were having a lot of duo episodes when we couldn't have Zach on, and I wasn't really digging the duo nature. I just didn't think it worked as well.
Okay.
But it once Zach came on regularly and Craig came back, it all stabilized again.
Yeah, our schedules are. I think things got better for us when we implemented the every 2 week schedule.
Yes, the last year we've been trying for the every 2 week schedule, and I think because that was the other thing, we were having scheduling conflicts, getting things done just monthly We go a few times we'd go 3 months without an episode,
Right.
just because our schedules couldn't click.
Really, I don't remember. That's crazy.
Well, maybe not. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but
no,
it felt
sounds
like
right,
it felt
though.
like
I feel
it.
like at least.
And of course, sometimes Dragon would be late, and that would compound the problem.
Right. Sometimes there'd just be slim years, you know?
Yeah, I think we solved that by doing those retros.
Yes,
too.
the retros have filled the gap, as it were.
Big time.
Big
time.
We do need to record some more of those in the very near future.
A brilliant addition, the retros. And fun, dude. Can I just say, I want to thank you guys here as part of this section. When I started Savage Dragon, I was like just a main series purist. I didn't want to read any spinoffs. I didn't want to look at them. I didn't give a shit about them. Like, people would be like, hey, man, check out Tim Seeley, Love Bunny and Mr. Hell. Look, Dragon's on the cover. I'd be like,
You can skip that one.
I'd be like, get that out of my face. Get that out of my face. I don't
Look
want
at
to
that,
see
that
that.
shallow cash grab. Get that corporate nonsense out of my way.
He, like the way Tim Seeley did it, and it's funny now. I can laugh at it, but when I remember my shitty attitude, I saw like he's got it like Photoshop, like Dragon is taped on.
Yeah.
And I was like, pfft. I looked at that guy. I said, I don't. He said, like I could tell I was really rude. My comment guy's like, I just thought you'd kind of like it because you seem like a Dragon fan. I said, I don't care about that. I said, if Larson.
So that's like the worst one to pick Raven to be like, I should have been reading the spinoffs.
Well, was Dragon even in that issue?
Yeah.
In a small capacity, but not enough. You know, it was a Love Bunny and Mr. Hell
I
thing.
think as long as you stick to the highbrow ones,
Well,
I could do without all the special appearances
I
from
don't
the
know.
companies.
I mean, there's a few, like, I really like that Nancy and Hell crossover issue.
yeah, love that.
That
one,
was a-
dude.
Yeah, that one was good. Yeah.
But also too, like, just most recently with Turtles. Like, I would have never read that on my own, guys.
But that was a highbrow one. That was under Eric's supervision.
Which one?
The Image
The
Turtles.
Urban
which I-
Oh,
Legends.
yes. Technically, that was like Freak Force. It was under the highbrow umbrella.
I just
I get
feel
what
like
you're saying, though.
I've crossed paths with so many cool things that I wouldn't
Yeah.
have. You know what I mean?
I think definitely like for new if you're listening and you're just getting into Dragon again, a lot of people seem to be doing that these days, are getting back into it, and you never read like Freak Force or Super Patriot or Deadly Duo.
You can't is the big problem.
Right.
Well, you can get them on eBay or whatever. What are you saying?
I'm saying they're out of print. They.
Oh yeah.
It would be great if they were.
You can find them big time. Raven, you just bought the whole Freak Force series.
Everything.
Right?
Yeah. All in one store.
But they're very important to the story of Savage Dragon. In the long, when you read it, like it fills in so many gaps that are missing that you don't get from just the regular series.
And I didn't have an appreciation for that, and now I absolutely do. Like the retros brought that appreciation to all that work that is awesome. Like, I'm reading it and I'm like, I fucking love this stuff, dude. And I just wouldn't, without the FINcast, I just wouldn't. It's a whole part of my Savage Dragon experience that I just wouldn't have had.
Yeah, that's cool. I
Very.
think there's quite a few people that have said that to us on the boards and stuff like that.
I appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, because it's so much cooler to have that perspective. And like, again, talking with you guys, like I could have just read Turtles on my own one day board, but like talking with you guys as we read those issues. And I recommend, again, like Craig said, if you're a new listener or you're just getting back into like Dragon and you decide, hey, you know, I might look at Urban Legends. I had no idea that like Larson's like guiding hand was involved in that so much. Dude, pop up in those FINcasts, take the journey with these two gurus. They will have it.
No.
They will have insights. Yes,
Please.
dude. Yeah, nope. They will have insights that will have your head
we're
spinning.
talking about.
You do. You do. You do more than you know. You're better than you know.
So we got a lot to cover.
Yes.
Do you think we should get into our letters
News.
or news? Oh, we're missing news. Yes, we do have a piece of news.
We got news. Jim?
Oh, right. So the bit of news we have is, where's my mail? Oh, it's not even in the mail. Anyway, so Eric posted on the Facebook that he's getting the next Savage Dragon collection ready to go. I believe it's called. It's going to be called Savage Dragon Family Matters. I don't know exactly what it's going to collect because I don't have the post right in front of me. But what's interesting is he needed a few more pages. He needed a few more pages to include all of the variant covers from 250. So he needed 4 more pages for 4 more covers. But adding 4 pages basically means you have to add 8 because of how printing works. So what he's doing is he's going to it's a little convoluted, but this is what's going to happen. There's 4 pages in the current issue of Savage Dragon where Amy and Walter have a conversation. So he's going to take those pages, he's going to re-script them to be Amy and Walter's first meeting, which we haven't seen yet because we met Walter in 252, and Amy had already met Walter. So he's going to do this little 4-page story about basically how they met. But in order to do that, in order to repurpose the pages from 243, I'm sorry, not 243, 253, Walter has to be naked because he wasn't made to wear clothes until his first appearance in 252. So Eric has gone through and redrawn Walter's body to overlay over the art to make him naked, make him tiger naked.
So the dialogue and the script are going to be retooled for a new sequence specific to the Family Matters trade. And Jim, you said what issues does it collect? It is Savage Dragon 247 through 252.
Right.
I think also, I suspect Eric will reprint it in a future issue of Savage Dragon because that's usually how he do.
Mm-hmm. It's very reminiscent to the early days of Savage Dragon, where he used to put extra pages into the trade.
Did he really do that a lot, or was that really just Baptism of Fire, where he was?
There was a few. He did a little more on William Johnson. He did a little more with Dragon's first meeting with Rapture. There was a couple of little things where a couple pages here and there.
I know he added
more.
He added a few pages to Dragon and Jennifer meeting for the first time because that happened in a mini series that he didn't draw. Yep. But he then later used those pages in a regular issue.
Right.
Far in the future.
But yeah, so he used to do that far more often back in the beginning of Dragon, where he would just kind of need the extra pages in a trade and just kind of, add a little more story, a little more background to events that we didn't see on the page in the original comic. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a neat little insight. And he's been giving just those little behind the scenes, peeling the curtains back so you can see oh, yeah, that's how this page was going to look. And I changed it. Here's a page of Malcolm meeting a fish man. I cut it out. So it's kind of neat.
That's kind of neat. The Fishman page.
Yeah.
Apparently, he had a whole sequence for 253 that basically to set up and get out of would have taken too much, so he rewrote it, but not until after he had drawn the entire page.
Yeah.
Where he
it's a cool
meet
page.
a mysterious. I say he looks kind of like an Atlantean, living in a cave, but it didn't make the book.
Nope.
We can hit on that when we get to that in our review of 253, because there's that one scene where it probably would have fit in.
Right.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where it was going to be. Too much to mount and dismount from that sequence.
Right.
Pages are at a premium.
So what do you say we get into some letters?
Absolutely,
we got
dude.
A few. I'll go ahead and read the first one. This was we got a couple of notes on our episode 100 from a couple of longtime listeners. So the first one was from Tony Mikulandra, which I think we've only ever known as Tony M. So
previously.
Now I'm going to look him up and hunt him down.
We've graduated.
Tony says, "Congratulations, FINcast crew. What a great milestone to reach, and here's wishing you guys catch up to Eric on the episode mark. I'll tell you one thing. I know of no other comic book podcast that I and many others can deem essential listening. You guys have created a companion to the masterful comic that is Savage Dragon, and that is no easy feat. You guys are funny. You have fantastic non-romantic chemistry." I'd like to think it's a little romantic.
Just a bit. Right. When I met you guys in person, I was feeling the tingle.
Felt a little tingle.
Mm-hmm. Pants got tight.
They seem to be great bros at the best of times and frenemies at the worst. Nah, we're always friends. All while discussing one of the greatest comics of all time. Some memorable highlights before I cut short this tedious diatribe. Discussions about Canada and the selling of milk in plastic bags at grocery stores. Do Canadians worship the Queen? I don't even remember saying it. Some of the best play-by-play critiquing of comics in general. Does Fountainhead shoot lasers?
Oh, classic.
And some of the most insightful interviews with comics professionals and enlightening discussions, including failed quiz show answers to questions like, how many toes do Ninja Turtles and Savage Dragon have if counted all together? I could go on. Long ago, I started regularly listening to the FINcast, probably in 2014 or 2015, and shortly after went back and listened to the entire FINcast run to get caught up because of the sheer enjoyment of what I was hearing. A1 job, guys, and everyone involved. Onward to the next 100.
Very
great letter.
cool.
Thank you so much. That makes me feel good about doing this.
Yeah, man. I honestly appreciate it. Like, of course, it's just fun to do.
Absolutely.
But
it's even more fun when you hear that someone appreciates it and actually enjoys it.
Especially for me, where I was just a listener. And so I just to know that there's other cats out there that are just enjoying it. That's fucking awesome. Thank you. Jim?
I love our frenemy moments, too. I think they're the best.
I mean, I do hate you guys.
The hate was palpable when I met Jim. There was just I smelled bloodshed in the air when we met. I was like, I'm in danger, but I have to say hi.
So
Know your place, Raven.
I know. You milksop. You just smacked me.
So thanks for the letter, Tony. It is appreciated.
I would just say that we did confirm that Canadians worship the Queen. That's not a question that we have any questions about.
I'm just trying to think why that
worship.
Oh, it probably came up. It probably came up when we were talking about Trump, the move to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't
worship.
I mean, they are. What did we come to the conclusion of? They are. They're still under the crown. She's still on their money,
right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody worships the Queen.
No.
Oh no.
All right, we got to get moving along.
Moving right along, because man, we got a beefy FINcast here, guys.
You've mentioned
long time friend of the show, Sotiris Gravis says, "Hey studs, happy Halloween, and congratulations on your big 100th episode. Not only do you provide substantive and sapient Savage Dragon info, you gentlemen also offer some much-needed mental health happiness during this crazy coronavirus pandemic Donald Trump era turmoil. Know that even though I don't always write in, I'm always listening.
Just
always.
like Jesus.
At least
That's
I'm not.
actually in the letter.
It is actually in the letter. I had to bring it. There was acting involved, right? I was coughing up blood if you couldn't hear the blood. At least I'm not next level weird as that Santa dude who's always into watching kids and always creepy. Anyway,
He's way into kids and always watching.
weighing into kids and always watching. Look, Sotiris, one thing, Santa
I just
has a
compared him
wife.
to Jesus. He said Santa.
Yeah, Santa has a wife. So get your mind off the naughty list. Enjoy those lumps of coals. That's all I'll say. While Santa enjoys Mrs. Claus's sweet, plump, sugar plump fueled behind. Santa don't
His
play.
Sugar plums.
Yeah, what else was that jolly old elf eat? Cookies and milk, right? And Mrs. Claus's sweet vagina.
Wow.
I'm just saying, Santa ain't no kitty diddler. He just likes toys and giving them to people. He's a saint. It's in his name, Saint Nick. Am I the only Santa fan here?
I mean, I like Santa.
Yeah. Dude, you had that Santa
I don't like the
tattoo.
dude. All right.
Jim, it was like the third thing he said. He's like, "Hey, Raven." I was like, "What's up, Jim?" I was like, "Pretty cool place." He's like, "Thanks, man. Check this out." And rolled his sleeve up, and there was a Santa tattoo. And I was like, "Whoa."
It was the Rob Liefeld version of Santa.
Yes.
Remember that guy?
Very much, dude.
I do not.
Extreme.
What?
I don't remember Lars Liefeld's Santa Claus.
It is basically Lobo Santa.
Yep. He
Or
was.
Blood Wolf Santa.
Oh.
Yes.
Sounds
Very extreme.
awful.
It is
What was that
awfully
in?
great,
What
dude.
was that in? Was that just a collector card or something from Wizard?
It was a collector's card, but I feel like there was maybe
short?
just a page or two. Like the pouch almost. It was out there, dude.
Man.
Listeners know. There's some listener that's like, pff, I mean, Michelle knows. He's like,
Yeah, he's like, fucking dumbasses.
you
Who
fucking
knows?
idiots. All right. Thank you, Satyrus. Thank you, Santa Claus fans across the world that know Santa is straight up into that Mrs. Claus Heine. Moving right along. Thank you, letters writers. Guys, listeners, if you want to write us letters, we'd love to hear from you. Clearly, we appreciate it and have fun. Craig, tell them where they can send those letters, baby.
Savage FINcast at gmail.com. You can also post something on our FINcast.com website on the comments. You can probably message us on Facebook. We're always at the Savage FINcast or the Savage Dragon fan Facebook page, or Twitter. We're always on Twitter. I'm sure you just look us up or look up the Savage FINcast on Twitter. So we can be reached anywhere. Easiest is probably just the savagefincast at gmail.com. Which brings us into our next segment, FINteresting Conversations. This is the segment where we kind of pose a question about Savage Dragon or Eric Larson or whatever, and we talk about it, but we also ask for your input, and we also ask for you to present your own questions for a future episode. So we had a couple of responses for past questions. We had one response from Andrew D'Entremont, who I think it was a couple of episodes ago. We posed the question about experimental issues, and what if Eric did an issue where, I think we said like every page or every panel, I think it was every page, he copied a comic book artist style,
Right.
similar to the funnies that he did. So, Jim, why don't you take that away?
Right. Let's see here. We got here. Hey, guys. It's been a while since I dropped you a line, so I thought I'd touch base with you real quick and give you my 2 cents on this month's FINteresting Conversation. You all had some good suggestions, but my top pick would be John Buscema. Buscema, right?
Yeah.
Buscema?
Yeah.
I'd love to see Eric tackle his style, perhaps leaning into how he drew Conan. Another artist I'd like to see is Jean Gerard, better known. Mebius, of course. Mobius. It would probably take Eric forever to work on that much detail into his work, but working twice up might give him an edge in that regard. And finally, I know you already mentioned John Byrne, but I'd like to nominate him as well, with the cravat. Wait, there's no R in caveat. Caveat. And this is what happens when you learn how to speak by reading.
That's okay.
That Eric
No, that's fine.
emulates his style as inked by Terry Austin. You know what? I lied. I actually have one more. Barry Windsor Smith. Enough said.
Absolutely.
That about covers it, but let me just say what a bang-up job you guys have been doing. I always enjoy listening to you guys discuss Dragon, and I also enjoy when you have guest hosts. I think Scott James brings a lot to the table, so feel free to have him on more often. Also, I always enjoy it when you have Eric on, so please take him up on his open door policy more often, maybe on a quarterly basis. That's it. Take care, guys. Looking forward to the next FINcast. And that was from Andrew D'Entremont.
Thank you, Andrew. I like those. I was a John Byrne. I think I picked that because I thought Eric would do a good job. But Mobius, what a good pick.
Mobius is a great pick. I would like to see that
It
too.
is. And you would know definitely who he was trying
Absolutely.
to ape.
And he's not wrong. What's so funny is, like, what a great observation that if he did a 2-up page, he'd just have the ability to cram that with so much Mobius detail.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I also agree with him. I do enjoy having Scott on and getting his perspective as an artist. He does bring a lot of that extra to the table, that things that we're not always thinking of, which is fun. And then same thing, I mentioned it earlier, I love having Eric on. We try not to do it too often because we want to make him special and have a lot of good questions.
Yeah, we don't want to ask him about like what it was like to draw Spider-Man like 100 times. We try to avoid that here.
What got you into comics?
Is it fun to draw all that webbing?
It's funny though, man. You watch a lot of those podcasts where he's on, and it's like, man, I don't know how I would do it.
Honestly, we're kind of getting into a similar problem with Dragon, to be completely honest, because you wind up asking stuff. Do you think you'll go back to like doing panels like you did in the 90s?
Yeah. Well, and that's why it's hard to do things like that every month or every couple months, because you want to not ask those questions.
Why don't you hatch as much as you used to?
I feel like
I mean, a 2-hour show, it's a long time, so you've got to have good questions.
I feel like letting the issues pile up the way we do allows us to talk about current things that are going on in Dragon, which is, I feel, I'm just agreeing and sort of reiterating what you said. I feel that's a strength this show has over perhaps other interviews and stuff.
What's your favorite John Day that you ever drew?
That kind of thing.
Well, I feel I can't even listen to his interviews a lot of times on other podcasts because it's a lot of the how did you get started in comics and things like that are just like real. I understand though, for a lot of those podcasts, their listeners don't talk to Eric all the time or listen to Eric all the time, and
or they need
might
that
not be as into the book and they need that. But for and that's what I think our podcast, what we're really for. We're for like the hardcore fans or people that want to really get into Dragon and know those questions that other podcasts aren't asking. So
we ask the tough questions here.
Yeah.
All right, what we got going on next, Raven?
I think we got a fella named Matt Rasco Jr. Now, the FINteresting topic that Matt is replying to is different than the one that Andrew Detremont just answered. If you recall, our previous and most recent FINteresting conversation was all in the same fashion that Eric sort of was a guiding hand on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles urban legends, where Gary and Frank really, they delivered the goods. But Eric was just sort of there, standing back, producer type role, like telling people, hey, do this, don't do that, whatever. Just you could feel his presence, right? We were just like, what other property, what other IP would you like to see created in that fashion? So that is the FINteresting conversation that Mr. Matt Rasco Jr. is about to address. And he says, I wouldn't mind seeing Cerebus being done by both Larson and Carlson. Maybe they can bring the aardvark back to his fantasy roots. Hey, man, sweet and short. Thank you, Matt. And I gotta admit, I love the idea because Cerebus is one of those iconic characters just for the longevity, He set the 300 issue independent, like creator makes 300 issues and then just quits, like benchmark that North Americans go by. But if you ever talk to anybody really about Cerebus, almost nobody loves most of it.
Oh yeah.
Almost everybody is like
everyone.
I got so tired.
Everyone talks about Cerebus as like it's like this important indie series,
and it was for setting that accomplishment.
But then you get into the problems with Sim himself.
Well, plus the work. I mean, even if you, which that's a whole other kettle of fish, Jim. You're not wrong. Like Sim is kind of like a weird character these days. And he always was kind of controversial, but like I'm talking about like the work. I hear a lot of people be like, it's just a slog after a while. You know what I mean?
Well, it will take a turn into like his personal political and views.
I heard once it gets into like the church and state volumes, where he becomes like a prime minister or a pope or something, and it just drags. Like, and I've seen pages
because didn't
where
it
it's just exposition?
didn't
like
it
pages?
didn't it start out as like a fantasy adventure thing?
It's Conan parody.
Yeah, kind of like Ninja Turtles and Daredevil in a way.
Yeah, when it started, it was a Conan parody.
I mean, Howard the Duck starts that way too.
And then it became its own thing, and it kind of like the thing it becomes, I think, gets like kind of like windy. Like it's just like, at least that's what I'm told. And I think it's pretty telling that, I mean, out of the three of us, have any of us actually read it?
No.
No, me either.
It's kind of, because I heard it just slogs when you get halfway through. I don't know if I want to invest all that time.
Right. Everybody says that. I've heard Eric say that it's a slog at a point.
But I also feel like it suffers the same thing Savage Dragon does, where there's so much of it that people are afraid to bust into it.
Sure.
What, Cerebus?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of it, but the thing about Cerebus is it's actually in print, and it's not hard to get a hold of.
No, but it's just a lot. Like it's overwhelming in a way. It's like, I want to read this, but I don't know. I don't want it. I don't know.
My biggest hurdle with Cerebus when I was, at the time when I felt like I had to read it because it was one of those important comics.
Right.
My biggest hurdle was I actually thought the early stuff didn't look very appealing. Because it looked a little bit too dated because of that whole Conan parody part. I probably would enjoy that more now, actually. But now the other stuff keeps me away from it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've heard that he's got a lot of baggage and stuff. I don't know.
I'll tell you, no.
It's hard for me to keep up with everything.
I can articulate it exactly because I know exactly what you're feeling, and here's what you're saying. Unlike where you have Savage Dragon, which starts out as kind of a coherent, like, entertainment piece and maintains an entertainment...
It's still an action book.
Yeah, it's an entertainment vehicle the entire time. Even if Eric has something to say, even if Eric is experimenting, it's an entertainment vehicle. And it's consistent in tone and theme even when he's playing around and trying different things. Cerebus, on the other hand, starts off as this really rough Conan parody and then becomes a better-looking Conan parody and then kind of becomes like more serious and like more prose-heavy, and that is a tonal shift that is not necessarily appealing.
It is amazing how much better his artwork got, though. Like, in terms of... Like, just how crude...
Sim.
Yeah, I will kind of agree on that. It probably helps when you're only drawing the foreground characters.
Right, yeah. Good old Gerhard. MVP of the backgrounds. But yes, would it be awesome as shit to see what Eric could do? And Gary? Hell yes, dude. I would love to see what they would do with Cerebus. Taking it back to its fantasy roots, I would love to see that. So, yeah, man. Yeah, but I think that's a solid pick.
Would you expect that? I mean, Eric is a traditionalist.
I don't think he'd get navel-gazy. Like, I don't think he'd go into long, like, diatribes about his relationship with women and stuff. That's just not what he does.
Right.
I think he would get back to like with, when he took over Supreme?
Right.
And he was like, let's just take it back to what Supreme is and what makes Supreme unique.
Right.
I think he'd kind of take that reboot approach with Cerebus.
He didn't try to be more. He tried to be Larson.
Yeah.
He would just change Cerebus into like a fisticuffs superhero punch him out comic.
I'm not even sure what I could imagine like Cerebus because is under Eric's pen or even under just his editorialship.
I tell you what I envision. Did you read the Ninja Turtles where they teamed up with Cerebus?
You know what,
Jim? You would.
I actually have not read that issue because it isn't reprinted. They got an altered version.
Oh, so that is what I imagine it would be like. I mean, Cerebus is still Cerebus, but he's just, a barbarian. He's riding around and he's kicking ass and cutting dudes up, and he's an appealing character. He's got that weird way he talks or whatever, but it's just an action story. They're storming a castle to like kill a wizard.
That sounds cool. I gotta look that up.
It was, dude. It was fucking dope. It's a good story.
Let me verify that real quick because that was an early Ninja Turtles issue, and I'm pretty sure it did not get.
It still had Kevin Eastman art.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. And they did a cool thing where
I saw where Sim won't let him reprint it.
It's one of those dealies, yeah. Or it's because of, Viacom or what have you not wanted to deal with it. Of course, Sim's weird because I think like Cerebus is actually public domain somehow.
What?
Like anybody can publish Cerebus comics now?
No. How?
I cannot imagine.
I will look into that. That's kind of a weird thing going on with the property.
I know Sim, and I think we might have either we talked about it offline or I think we talked about it online. He's got that Spawn 10 that he's
apparently,
right.
not reprinting. He's apparently making his own version.
Right.
He's kickstarting it.
Yeah.
Because that was the agreement, right?
Yeah.
He
Basically,
own it. Both own
they
it.
both own it, right?
All right. So, shall we talk about the new FINtesting conversation topic?
Let's.
Our new FINtesting conversation topic. So, with this current issue having a variant cover, the Decision 2020 with Biden and Harris on the cover, and then we've got the other Vicious Circle, was it Rising cover?
252 had an extra cover.
Like 252 is a second printing.
Oh, second printing, right.
So this is actually a variant, and then the next 3 issues of Savage Dragon are all going to have variants with the old school Marvel type trade dress on it. Sounds like Eric's kind of gotten that itch to do at least a variant cover an issue for the upcoming future. I'd like to get the listeners' thoughts on variant covers. You like them, you hate them, you don't care. And then if you liked them, or even if you didn't like them, what was your favorite variant from the past that Eric has done? I'd like to hear about that. And then, if you so please, what would you like to see in the future for variants? So, it seems like Eric's revisiting the trade dress of the 70s Marvel trade dress.
Right.
He's also kind of revisiting these political covers. What would you like to see for future variants? I'd like to get your thoughts on it. What do you say, Raven and Jim?
I think I have a less fiery take. A little bird told me that we're in for some fireworks. So let me just get mine out of the way real quick. My thoughts on variant covers, I'm okay with them. I don't mind them. I think he has sort of a non-offensive approach. Like a lot of the times the variants are just a simple recoloring. It doesn't make me feel, other than like 250 where you had legitimately compelling variant covers like you wanted to go get, when you're talking about like just changing a color, I don't care. I don't have to collect it. I can actually skip it. Right. And in fact, the 250 second printing where it was just basically Malcolm charging and it had different colors, I skipped it. I got every cover but that one. My favorites from the past, I'm a sucker for a gimmick. I love the Will You Marry Me cover.
Yeah, that was good.
I love it. That was a clever gimmick. I think it was a smart use of a variant. So that was my favorite. And then lastly, ideas for things that you'd like to see coming up. I like to see more random variants just by other artists. I think that would be very cool. I think that it also would potentially help the book. I think of, like, for instance, you had, just people will walk by and see Savage Dragon, but like Jim Rugg art on the cover, or like Jock or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it would turn heads. I think people are like, whoa, goddamn, like, what Jock doing on a cover? Or Jim Rugg did this, like, badass, like, Savage Dragon color. Holy shit.
Or completists of those artists that might get them to pick up an issue of Dragon.
Right, and there's, like, it wouldn't have to come out of nowhere. Like, we know Jim Rugg likes Savage Dragon, so it's cool. So if not different artists, and he probably doesn't want to do this, but gimmicks. Give us a foil cover or a lenticular hologram or something wacky. If you're going to do it, make it substantial.
Polybagged with a card.
Yeah, dude. Or a not safe for work cover. I know he said he'd never do it again, but it's just my answer. So it's no big deal. But, that's me. I'm quick. I'm done. That's out. That's what I think about him. That's what I feel about him.
I'm afraid to ask Jim. I'm afraid.
Oh, I can't wait.
All variant covers should burn in hell. I despise variant covers conceptually, and they make me physically angry.
Are you shaking?
Well, all right. Let me back up.
Sure.
And explain my problem with variant covers.
Lay it on us.
Actually, let me start with an anecdote. So last week, a comic came out that I was really interested in and bought and enjoyed. Coincidentally, it is a Ninja Turtle comic book.
Okay.
It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin #1, which is that quote unquote final Ninja Turtles story, like possible future thing, but it's written by Laird and Eastman, and it's pretty cool. It has, at minimum, as best I can tell, 65 fucking variant covers. And it's a $9 funny book.
Oh.
So let me can I stop you 1 second when you're talking about the variant covers? Did you see the cover that's just like the artist Ben Bishop? It's just like face on the cover.
Let me see if that's on the master list here in the back.
What?
It's just his face coming out of a curtain. I don't understand it at all. It's so strange. It's a real photo of like the artist, just his face.
I'm Facebook friends with him, and I must take a look and see what this is.
So I don't see that one here, because the one
I don't mean to sidetrack.
It's
so crazy.
The ones here in the back of the issue are all they're called comic shop variants. Like specific comic shops paid to have these covers done. So I may not have the variants for like the regular variants. But anyway, the point is there's a fucking lot of them, and I have a real problem with them. My problem with variant covers is that they prey upon completionists. People who could be buying different new comics, instead driven to buy the same comic multiple times. And I think it's very unhealthy. But the worst part is, variant cover sales prop up our industry. Selling the same comic multiple times is how comic shops make their money, in a lot of cases. Some shops, anyway.
Sure, yeah.
Of course, then you get the real problem. The real problem that disgusted me was the A cover, the regular cover. The day it came out, there were shops selling it at markup, like $20. And that made me angry. Although that has less to do with variant covers and more to do with unscrupulous practices. But variant covers compound it all. A mad dash scramble to get, quote-unquote, all the covers to have a complete set.
Right.
Now, I know Eric doesn't do that specifically for Savage Dragon. But you can't help but think that variant covers push sales. Or artificially inflate them, you might say.
I mean, make no mistake, it is a business that is definitely what they're for. Like, even when I was like, I don't mind them, it's like, no, I know it's to make money.
And Eric's better about it because you can just order whatever cover you want 90% of the time.
Sure.
There's a couple of exceptions, like that green one.
May I also throw in that a lot of the times Eric will toss in the variant covers will just find their way into the back of the book or something.
Yeah, and you'll see him in other ways, or at least in the collections. Like he's not like we just talked about in the news. He's putting all the covers in the collection,
right?
So you can see them all that way as well. But I even before I switched to digital and I stopped having a choice, I always bought the A cover, no matter what it was, because I refused to participate in this transaction. And I would get so annoyed when comics would come in and I'd get the B cover, because that's the only copy they got. So yes, I have fiery opinions on variants, and I'm not going to say I don't want to see certain artists drawing covers of Savage Dragon. And of course, I do want Eric to draw every cover of Savage Dragon, like he draws all the interiors. So, I guess the only way to see other artists draw Savage Dragon on the cover is with variants. But I'd rather just have a nice pinup on like a flip book on the back cover.
That's a good solution to it. Like if you wanted to have that thing where like you have like Jock, like just give the back cover as a flip book to like Jock or something like that. That's a good solution. Because then you're not like necessarily like gouging, but you're still getting the benefit.
It's just, I don't know. I never saw the appeal. I mean, I guess the appeal is you like a specific artist. You're supposed to buy the cover you think looks the best.
Right.
But it just preys on collectors. Yeah. People who need complete collections. I don't even think it's possible to get all these last Ronin covers because they're so spread out to different comic shops.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a completionist and you look at this and this drives you, it would absolutely drive you insane.
Yeah. So I hate the market where it's like you're saying, like 25 different Snake Eyes number ones or 25 different Last Ronin number ones, or every comic shop gets their own variant or whatever it is. Like that's so over the top and ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
I'm less, annoyed about a single variant cover as much as, it's kind of a little bit of anxiety if you want to get it, that you're not going to be able to get it. Sometimes that sucks, but it's usually not the case for me. I do like what Raven said, like the ability to see like someone do an alternate cover, like an Herb Trimpe cover or something like that.
And I realize
that's fun.
I also realize like a lot of artists depend on variant covers for income.
Well, that's my other feeling on Dragon 2, like the recent variants. Like, you don't have to buy them. They're only a single additional variant, and if it gets, a few thousand or 1,000 more copies sold for Savage Dragon, then I'm for it. You know what I mean? If it helps ensure that this title can last a little bit longer, and, we're not talking about 15 different variants, we're talking about a single variant, and you've got fans that want to pay the extra money for it, then, I'm okay with it. I understand what you're saying, Jim. I understand how overall it's probably not a good practice.
I will say that overall, I 100% agree with you, Jim, that this industry has taken it. A variant cover at its core is not that harmful. The direction that this industry has kind of pushed it, it's been taken to a gross place.
Yeah.
For sure. There's some gross exploitive shit going on out there. But Craig, to your point, you don't have to buy anything you don't have to.
Right.
I'm not, for instance, on the upcoming trade, like with the more Marvel trade or whatever, I have no preference. I don't care which cover I get. I won't be getting both.
Right. I mean, it's in every collector's market,
right?
Whether it's records and you have different colored vinyl, or different presses with. They also do different jacket styles on the covers of records, whether it's trading cards. Remember, like Garbage Pail Kids, each card had 2 different names.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's the same card, and you want to collect. They make a 23 card set into 46 cards or whatever it is. I mean, you're not going to stop it, but it's to be responsible about it.
Right.
But yeah, I get the annoyance of it. In terms of Savage Dragon, like I said, if it means he can sell an extra 1,000 copies or more,
mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea there. And it's not like he pushes, like, you have to collect it all, and even says, if you like it, get it. If you don't, you don't,
Yeah, I feel like I said, to his credit, I feel like the variants, for instance, like on the second print of 222 or 252, I mean, I gotta have it. It's a pretty compelling package. It's got a different cover. The interiors are clean. Like, that is kind of a different...
Versus a newsprint for the listeners, right?
Right, for the listeners, the original print had faux newsprint effect. And so 252's reprint not only has a new cover, but the interiors are clean. They don't have the faux newsprint, right? So that is kind of more compelling, and I have to have it because I want it. Whereas some of this other stuff coming up, like the variant where Dragon's looking into the empty grave, and the one has kind of like the Dimension X in the background, and the other kind of has a different like color behind him. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm not going to collect both. But if you want to, do. But if it's troubling your mind, just choose the one you like more. That's all you got to do.
Right.
Craig, I have to add this, dude. I can't not add this. So, while you were talking, I real quick looked up the Ben Bishop Last Ronin head through a curtain variant.
Right.
It is called the Last Ronin #1 metal B-hole variant. And
I don't get it.
And so you literally have Ben Bishop's head poking through a curtain, and the metal it's metal, so I guess it's like a metal foil appearance. And then there is a gold version. There's only 3 available. They're $300 each. and it'll have signatures from Ben, Kevin, and Tom. And I'm just like, oh, that is funny as shit. So, and that is being sold exclusively through his thing. So I guess that's
It's
for
a photo of his face. I don't get it though.
I
it's
think
for
it's
his fans.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That is strange.
it is the weirdest variant I've ever seen, dude. It is weird. It's not even like he's got a Ninja Turtle mask on. It's just his head poking
No.
through a curtain.
A curtain. Anyway. Okay.
Craig, you never got to sound off on variants too much. Like you know what you didn't do? So Jim we did kind of get your thoughts, but you know what?
Favorite
Your
variant
favorite
from the
and what you'd like to see coming up.
Yes, and me or Jim?
Both. I mean, Jim said he hates them, but I mean, there were variants in the past he can comment on. And if there was a variant in the future, like what could he tolerate? I'd be interested to hear.
I mean, like I said, never really went out of my way to get variants, even back in the day.
What would make you interested? What would it take?
I mean, honestly, none.
Judge Dredd?
Nothing. I mean,
Judge Dredd on the cover.
Even that would not get me to buy the issue if the only way to see Dredd on the cover was a variant.
No way, dude. No way.
No, seriously, I'm literally that anti. Just slapping my favorite character on the cover isn't enough to entice.
Good for you, dude. It's good to have scruples. It really is.
If he's in the issue, and if the cover was drawn by Eric, I might buy it as my cover, one copy. But otherwise, no thank you. Throw it in the trash. Burn it in the sun.
I love it, dude. So what about a favorite from the past?
I mean, again, I don't have a lot of like... I can't think of any variants that I prefer over the main covers.
Walt Simonson Kids?
Not even that. The Eric cover is still better.
Okay.
Because it's an A cover.
Sure.
I mean, it's still a variant. It's fine. It looks fine, but it's not enough to get me to buy it. I mean, like I wouldn't ask for a variant from an artist just because I don't want the variant.
Sure.
I mean, I guess I could saddle you guys with buying it.
What about you, Craig? Your favorites from the past?
I love, for some reason, and I don't even think it's the best cover, but I really love it. Most people probably wouldn't agree, is the second printing to Savage Dragon 100.
That's the one where they're leaping, right?
Yeah, where
that is
like,
a good
it's
one,
smashing through glass, and there's like
I will say
Angel. And
my variant dislike doesn't include second printing covers.
Second printing.
Yeah, that's different.
Then maybe the Herb Trimpe recreation.
Ooh, good one, dude.
Which is cool. It's just fun to see an old school artist draw, dragon.
That one was on the back cover as well, right?
I don't know if it was ever on the back cover. I don't
because I remember I remember having a copy of it. I might need to investigate that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Jim goes and looks through his collections like a variant and just rips it in half.
I typically prefer Eric's covers.
Right.
Well, I think he did it as a flip cover on that issue.
But it's definitely a cover too.
Remember what issue that was? By any chance?
You can probably just Google up Herb Trimp Savage Dragon.
It was like 130 something, right?
I thought it was later.
I think it was later. It's pre-Malcolm era, but it's later.
I apologize. I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll find
it's okay.
it. It'll turn
Keep
up.
rolling. Jim, you can look up, and Craig, you keep rolling.
No, I'm like Jen. I typically prefer Larson covers because Larson is such a strong, cover artist.
Sure.
But like I said, I think it's fun when you see other artists take on Dragon. So I'm always down for like an Herb Trimpe or,
that wanted cover,
something like that. Yeah,
that was so cool.
Wanted cover is cool. Even the 250 covers, even though we weren't happy with a lot of them, it's still always cool to see another superstar artist take on your favorite character. So,
absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't want to go through them all because I want to save some for the listeners, but
sure.
Yeah, I'd say those.
What would you like to see coming up? Like, what would get your blood pumping?
Just more like superstar artists taking on, like doing a cover. Like I would hope that when 300 comes, we get a return a Dave Johnson type cover, or it got me more thinking like even like the cartoonist kayfabe guys, like Piskor or Rugg or a Sholey cover, like some alternative artists, like the Twisted Funnies guys.
Oh yeah,
those are always fun. I don't know, just different takes. I just always enjoy that, and like I think, like you said, it brings out the most. Brings out other fans to check out the book possibly. So yeah, and also you learn about other artists that are fans that you didn't know about.
Gatefold covers, dude. Dragon. I don't think has ever had a gatefold cover.
No, Vanguard did.
Vanguard.
Dragon.
Yeah,
that would be pretty wild, wouldn't it?
Yeah, can you imagine? Like it'd be he's gone 250 plus issues, and he's never done a gatefold cover. And
he's done wraparounds, but not gatefold.
And I bet he'd do I bet it'd kick ass. Is the thing.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It's unfortunate that one of the best gatefolds, 115, I believe was square bound, which means it doesn't lay flat.
Well, that's not gatefold. That's just wraparound.
Oh wait, you're right. Sorry, that's what I meant. Wraparound.
Yeah. So you can't really open it up because it's square bound.
Yeah, but it is a great cover. I do like wraparounds.
I like reach arounds.
Walked into that one.
And with that, dear listeners, we would love to hear your thoughts and comments on variant covers. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us your favorites from the past. Tell us what you'd like to see in the future. Craig, tell them where to send them.
Savage FINcast at gmail.com, my friends. Send them in.
Please. I think that's a really good FINteresting conversation. And I would love to hear what people say, especially since moving forward for a little bit, we're going to have some. So, yeah, man, throw them out there.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, we're an hour into this, so I think we need to talk about this issue. Because it's a funny issue to me. It feels like the most traditional Dragon issue in a while.
I could see how you'd say
there's
that.
Like,
it kind of is.
There's like no great revelation or like super surprise or some twist. It's just a good, solid action Savage Dragon issue.
Yeah. It is the many irons in the fire approach, which he hasn't necessarily been doing too awful much lately. But, of course, every time he does it, it's fucking great. So, I think we just came off of variants. I think we got to talk about this variant at least. A little bit of a controversial variant, I saw a lot of people getting their feelings hurt.
Yeah, it's funny too for the listeners. We're reviewing this on election night, so it's kind of timely for us.
Yeah, we would love. It's funny because if you think about it, the listeners will know, and dear listeners, that's why we're not commenting because we don't know the outcome as of this talk. But it's this Decision 2020 variant where Malcolm is endorsing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for President and Vice President of the United States. And, a lot of people, of course, comics is a very sensitive community. A lot of people really struggle.
Well, there's no politics in comics.
Right. It's an apolitical medium.
So inserting them just makes you a hack.
Uh-huh. Never mind, all that evidence to the contrary. It's apolitical escapist fantasy. And I think it's funny, we can comment, as we got closer to the election, as we got closer to November 3rd, a lot of comic pros came out and started doing stuff. Alex Ross had a Joe Biden painting where he did Come With Me If You Want to Live from Terminator. Who else? Man, there were comic pros left and right just coming out of the woodworks. But I think it's cool because Eric was the only one with the massive watermelon-sized testicles to put it on a cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was funny when we were talking about it a little while ago because he did. He had John Kerry, right?
Right.
He had Obama. He kind of just skipped over Hillary.
Bush, yeah, he skipped Hillary. It's so funny.
And now Biden. It's crazy. I don't think if I had a comic, I would do it, but It's definitely a way to alienate a bunch of readers.
Gotta love the guts. I have to say, I don't think True, like, dyed in the wool, like, honest to goodness, made it all these 28 years fans care.
Right.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've seen that comment where people are like, well, don't like your beliefs, but you're still a kick-ass artist. And even Alex Ross.
Yeah.
People were commenting, they're like, dude, don't care at all about that, but you're still an awesome artist. And I'm like, that's cool. That's respectable. That's cool.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I've got to give a lot of props to people that are, either voting for Trump or Republican, that can put that aside and read the book and not let that kind of drive them crazy. Because that's not all what the book's about.
Of course. It's barely. What's funny is it's barely mentioned in the issue. Like, barely. It is. What is neat is that I didn't think it'd be mentioned in the issue at all.
Right.
Because he did kind of just, oh, by the way, guess what? This is happening.
And he lives in Canada, too, so.
Right. Yeah. So I thought we were going to be dodging
this.
this.
Citizen.
I love the original cover, too.
It's kind of fun to have those little panels in there as a period piece. So when you're looking back 10 years later, you can be like, oh yeah, that's where this was at this point in time.
Well, think about the Bushwhacked cover and John Kerry.
Right.
No one's talking about John Kerry now.
Dude, that John Kerry cover, I remember because I bought that issue when I was in Japan. So I know exactly where I was. I can remember. For me, I wouldn't even remember what year I was in Japan or what was happening, but because of that issue, I remember exactly the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just little things like that, little time periods that you can pick up on. Clinton during the SOS years.
Yeah, it is cool. It ties it to that moment in time and it reminds you, hey, this book moves in the real time. It's tied to the real world. They're dealing with coronavirus because we're dealing with coronavirus. It's neat. It plays the dragon's strengths. And, again, we, as of recording this, don't know the outcome. So it's kind of a funny, win or lose, this is going to be a funny cover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be a moment in time. If it's a win, it'll be holy shit, First he did the Obama cover, now he did this one. If he loses, it's going to be well, shit. That's going to be funny to have Malcolm be talking about, yeah, I endorsed him, but...
It's going to be an Amazing Spider-Man cover, or Spider-Man endorses Hubert Humphrey.
Yeah, it's good. I think he got these likenesses well, too. Likenesses are fucking hard, dudes.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, likenesses are a bitch.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm commenting on that, because, yeah, they're instantly recognizable. Moving away from the variant, I think this is just a fucking killer issue with a killer opening.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty excited when I flipped the page.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
It's fun to get this Amy Dragon interlude.
Yeah.
It's she gets the title here.
Amy Dragon, wake up screaming.
She's definitely the favorite child of Eric's, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. And, again, she's kind of the most interesting of the Dragon kids.
Right.
Because, in a way, I think we talked about this, but don't you, disagree or tell me your thoughts, fellas. But, Jack kind of feels like classic Dragon.
Yeah.
Tyrone kind of feels like Malcolm Redux.
Mm-hmm.
But then here you got this little weirdo with 10 toes.
But I think Eric is also, and I could be wrong, I remember him talking on comicbook.com on the interviews he does with Russ Burlingame, that he's giving the kids their own character traits. I feel like he's making Tyrone the brainier kid, and you'll notice some of those little things. And I think maybe Amy's more of the scrappier.
Well, she's a talker. She's very articulate.
Yeah. But he's doing these things on purpose to give them almost kind of like Ninja Turtles, where they all they're all gonna have distinct skills or characteristics.
What would you say Jax is?
Jack's kind of a daredevil. He climbs stuff.
Okay.
Remember he got into a fight with the Vicious Circle Juniors.
Oh, that was him? I thought that was Tyrone.
I could have swore it was Jack. Let me double check.
Victory,
Yeah, I thought that was Jack.
Okay, sorry if I'm wrong.
Let me verify.
It'd be pretty cool though if Tyrone turns out to be like the scientific brain and he's kind of like the Donatello, like just inventing shit and stuff like that as he grows up.
You're right, Craig. He fixed the controller in the Funnies issue. Here he has like a dedication to school even on the weekend.
Yep.
Like it's cool. That's real subtle, but it's there for sure. Maddie's going to be lightning powers, and Amy is like kind of like just funny.
She's almost like the leader.
Yeah, she's just funny, you know. But also, too, she had that weird thing where she was born human and then became a dragon. Of course, we don't know if there's going to be something done with that or not. So,
no, was that Amy or Matt?
No, that was Amy.
Amy.
That's why she has 10
Amy.
toes.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So I verified it was Jack.
Okay, it was Jack. Victory. Okay, so Daredevil. Yeah, it's Action Jackson, baby. There you go. We got it. So we got a little TMNT like going with these kids. I love it. Because I admit I thought they were going to, like, there were so many of them because they were going to just get killed.
Well, that's the thing is, I've got theories about who's living and who's dying over the next few years.
What if you're wrong and all 4 grow up to adulthood?
What if all 4 die? That's a good question.
Ooh, that's awful.
I don't see that happening.
You're a monster, dude. That would be a heartbreaker. I would honestly be sad for what? That's pretty grim. Dudes, can we just say how great fucking Walter looks?
Yeah, he's like Eric's Tawny Tiger or Talkie Tawny.
He's so awesome.
I love how Eric gave him like the checkered pants. The Talkie has kind of like the checkered suit.
Well, there's actually a bigger, a more subtle joke here too. Mm-hmm. Talkie Tawny loves dressing up. He loves wearing human clothes. And Walter does not. Walter prefers being nude, as nature intended.
Yeah, he's a tiger. He doesn't think of himself as a tiger man. He says, I'm a tiger.
And it was confirmed, right? He's from Gentech. Right?
Yes.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In the letters column, confirmed, but still confirmed.
Right.
But he's a
He
fun
just looks
character.
so
he's
good,
just it's cool to have another animal-based guy.
Yeah, like Mako.
He's like Mako, except he's a tiger.
I love it, dude. I love it.
It's like a little bit of the old school touch.
I think
with that classic Eric wrinkle.
Eric kind of handles those tiger stripes in a cool way.
Yeah. Well, do you see like that close up on actually on any of them? It's like he's got like W's.
Yeah.
On his chins for Walter.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I love it, man. I think, though, you get, like, so much personality here out of Amy. Like, Amy's just really got a lot of character and personality in this sequence. It's so funny where she's, like, telling him off. And, again, Walter, we're just really meeting him. But, dude, that line about, like, I wouldn't be rummaging to the trash if you kids didn't... If you didn't have so many delicious chicken nuggets and fish sticks. That's so funny, right. Dude.
The other cool thing about the scene is that we're starting to see that the kids are more articulate and you know, there's no going back once they start speaking kind of just like a normal child. So you can get a lot more out of them.
Right.
You know, there's a lot more gags or just, you know, ways to advance the story with, you know, 4, you know, at least 3 kids that can speak normally now.
Right. They become more like actual characters.
Right. I was just super happy to see Walter be more than just kind of a Calvin and Hobbes one-off gag in a strip, because it totally could have played that way.
Right.
Because we know there's Gentech animals, and it could have just been a one-and-done type thing. But to see that as a kind of a lasting thing, which seems like we're going to have this new character in our book for a while.
And he looks great. I mean, just the design. I mean, it could just be a tiger, but, like, there's design to him. I think, like, there's personality. That panel of him, just the double thumbs up and the cheesy grin is so good.
Yep.
Oh, man. So, it's funny, dude. I'm already in love with Walter. Like, I was thinking we should title this issue, Your New Favorite Your New Favorite Character.
He's kind of like the new Glum, but a good guy in a way, you know?
Yeah. I think, again, that's an interesting dynamic. Because he's kind of like, here's this character who could easily potentially be evil, but no, he's just like a sidekick. It'd be cool to see how their friendship develops. Because clearly he's not like friends with like all the kids. Like, you know, him and Amy have this dynamic together here. They were in the last issue together, and, you know, she jumps out the window. It's funny, man.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the circle panel. That one's pretty neat on the second page.
Circle panel. Oh, yeah. Dude, like, there's
something we don't see. It's pretty wild.
So much of this is good stuff, dude. Like the negative panel, just the empty negative space panel.
Yeah. Just focusing on the two characters.
All the lettering from the, like, you know, Walter, like, rummaging around in the trash.
I hate to say, one of my favorite things that Eric's been doing a lot is these title pages with just a close-up on heads.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Powerhouse or Malcolm or Paul Dragon. But, man, this Rogue Warrior close-up splash page.
Rogue Warrior is so cool.
Yes, he is. It is awesome.
You know, I completely forgot he could shoot rays from his hands.
I was going to say that as well. I totally forgot, and I think it was Gavin Higginbotham, the editor, that reminded me that in his first appearance, he takes out some SOS members with that blast. He first appears in Savage Dragon 45, and I don't know if you guys remember, he's like, Dragon doesn't even fight him. He's fighting the SOS. Dragon's not even in the picture. I think Dragon was in space or something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where, like, I think it was Goldbrick, Crusher, and Moros from the SOS have him in custody, and then Killcat comes like an idiot and thinks he's still fighting and ends up freeing him, and he kills, like, the 3 SOS members.
Oh, yeah.
And then he disappears, and he doesn't come back until the Savage World.
Right.
So he'd never met Dragon before, at least not on the page.
And also, he in the original Image universe, he apparently got one of his arms burnt with acid.
Well, that was in that scene. He
Yeah.
punches through Goldbrick, and Goldbrick's blood burns his hands. And it doesn't show you if he loses the hand, but his hand's like completely all bubbled up.
Right.
And then we don't see him again, but then we see him in the Savage World, his Savage World version. So that never happened, apparently. Well, maybe it did. I don't know. But that's the Savage World version where he's working for Cyberface, tracking down Dragon, and then he captures Dragon. And then there's a couple issues where Dragon disguises himself as Rogue Warrior. It's not even Rogue Warrior.
Right.
That's fantastic.
So really, I mean, the Rogue Warrior is more, at this point, a Malcolm villain than he ever really was a Dragon villain, besides a couple of...
He's been a dart flunky for a while.
Absolutely, yeah. He doesn't show up again until, after the Savage World initially. He comes back around, I think 93, 94 is when Dragon disguises himself as him. And then you don't see him again until 191.
Wow,
so
that long.
It's a while. And then, like you said, he's kind of like him and Braun are like the muscle of the Vicious Circle.
It's cool because you can tell he's a long-lived character, too. He's got, like, crow's feet. Eric's giving him kind of like the old man lip crease, here and there. So it's like, yeah, he's buff as shit, but like he's not like immortal like he's got some age to him a little bit in his face.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, Eric did scare me when he takes that blow from what's his face, Wrath, and his
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the characters we have, we see Rogue Warrior, we see Wrath. You see Fountainhead, right?
Yes,
do we?
absolutely. Striped pants.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stripe head pants. Yes, you're right. That is a Fountainhead. Yeah,
Raggedy Man.
He isn't in the fight very long. That's why I missed him.
No, he gets like knocked out when Malcolm throws Wrath at him.
Yep. Striped pants versus striped pants.
And then Ragdoll, which is like that scarecrow guy.
I called him Raggedy Man. Ragdoll.
Raggedy Man is probably a better.
He had a weird he appeared like one other time.
He's been
twice,
in a bunch
right?
in the background.
Yeah, hasn't he been in the twice? He's usually like what's happening here. He's just getting his ass kicked.
Although it is kind of interesting, you don't see any blood when Bug goes through him.
I think he's a straw doll.
I think he's fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's part of his powers. He's just a bag of hay or something.
It's great.
A living bag of hay.
I love it, dude.
And we see Insect, who I always call Bug.
Well, Malcolm calls her Bug Lady.
Yeah.
Guys, we're not getting past that double page spread without like just gushing. Holy shit, dude!
That's a really good. It's a really good boat.
Dude, I looked that up. That's photo reference. Big time.
I had no doubt.
You look up Port of Toronto or Toronto Port or something. It's like you can see the exact picture he took it from. Because I was like, my first thought was like, wow, I didn't realize there were like ports on this Great Lake. You know, like,
fuck yes! The Great Lakes are all about their ports. I mean, the whole idea, the St. Lawrence River is like how most of everything gets moved through that area.
Yeah, no, you're right. It just seems weird to have such a huge boat on a great.
Oh yeah,
I guess not really.
You where do you live?
Philly.
Oh right, you guys live in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I live like 20 minutes from the river. We get like all kinds of like ocean going ship traffic down that river. That's like
which river?
St. Lawrence.
It's funny because everything around Jim...
Oh, that goes all the way up.
St. Lawrence goes through all
right?
5 of the Great Lakes, so it goes all the way, basically all the way to the Mississippi inland.
I didn't realize it goes all the way down through Connecticut.
Where I grew up.
Oh, I was gonna say, what the heck?
I grew up in northern New York, 20 miles from the river.
Yeah. All right. That you said. I was thinking because you live in. I'm like, what? In my head, it just was not making sense. But yeah, totally. I get what you're saying.
But yeah, it's a major shipping lane. So yeah, all the like the big ports you think of when you think of like the West Coast or like the East Coast, they're all there, especially on the Canadian side of the border, because that's where most of Canada's ports are.
Yeah, I guess it's easy, especially back in the day, to ship things on the water.
I will say, photo reference or not, like I love the he kind of owns it, which is what you're supposed to do.
He does this. You couldn't tell this is a photo reference, unlike a certain car he drew once.
Well, I'm just saying, like the cross hatching on the ship, like just so good, dude. And again, it's just like the docks he owns and makes the stuff in the background, like the girders and shit. It's very Larson, so it's kind of like. The perspective of this is just so fucking good. And then Malcolm's wearing his Black Lives Matter shirt. Oh, it's so good, dude.
The awesome thing about it, too, is he could have just drawn the scene in the city or something like that, and it's just kind of a nice switch up of backgrounds, you know?
Yeah, it's a great action scene. Like a fight on the docks. Like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, like when Bug gets punched into, or Insect gets punched into the hull of the ship and just makes that thong sound.
Is that so good, dude? He just like smacks her into that ship. Oh, it's so fucking good.
I love the Wrath character. I think he's pretty cool with his like Omega Red type tentacle thing.
I love his fucking exposed brain, dude. It's so awesome.
It's so weird.
Not very practical.
Malcolm like grabs him almost by the brain and throws him, you know. It's so good.
He does some damage for Rogue Warrior when he hits him with his tentacle. He just kind of rips him open.
Yeah, man. Like Jim said, it was kind of a moment, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you were referencing. Sorry, I missed that.
But it comes back. He pops Malcolm. He's okay. He's a tough. He's a very strong man.
Oh yeah, he's
strong red man.
It's great to see him. I mean, I guess we're jumping the gun a little bit. It's great to see someone just go toe to toe with Malcolm.
It's weird though that he looks so much like Dragon with the mohawk.
He always has though, right?
He has, and it's always just been kind of that thing. There doesn't seem to be any reason for it.
No, he's not a Kryllian. It's just a mohawk.
He just got. Well, is it even a mohawk? Because he also wears that helmet thing.
It's almost like a Centurion helmet, you know?
Yeah.
All these guys are great visuals.
He reminds me of like the Gladiator from Marvel.
Exactly. It would be nice to know more about him.
Hey, dude,
is he just some random Johnny Redbeard dude?
Or Insect or whatever.
I mean, I get the feeling we're going to be learning more about him. He certainly seems to step up in this issue.
Yeah.
This is the second time Bugs got like popped in the head and like her head goes back. Insect, sorry.
Insect.
And her head pops back and it's hard to tell where her mouth is because she has such a symmetrical head.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I love like that design is so simple but so good.
Yeah.
Just
reminds me of like
she looks like a Kamen Rider.
Exactly. That's exactly.
She looks like the original Kamen Rider from like 1960 whatever.
Yeah,
it's great.
I'd like to see her powers though. Is she like a wall
I'm
crawler?
pretty
I
sure
think he's shown that before.
I bet she jumps. She's probably more grasshopper like.
Yeah.
I think it's really awesome to see Malcolm's like super acrobatic. Like he's just flipping all around and throwing motherfuckers and stuff. It's so good.
Yeah, that
a lot of those cool panels.
That backflip he does over Rogue Warrior is pretty cool.
Yes, dude.
Is it Rogue Warrior? Shouldn't it be Rouge Warrior?
Rouge? No. Doesn't even sound cool.
I feel like you've said that in the past.
Rouge is what you put on your face. It's makeup.
Yeah. It's red. No. Rouge is red.
I can't do it. Nope.
No.
I'm saying I associate it with makeup. Like I just can't do it.
L'Oreal Warrior.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
You know, Rouge the Bat.
As a Sonic fan,
I know what you're saying.
I appreciate that. But no, Rogue Warrior is a badass. What a delightful Maxine. It's just a good. I think there's a lot if you're a Maxine fan. There's just a lot of good Maxine drawings.
These legs are ridiculous.
I love them.
They are taller than her body. Is that normal?
Love them. I love it. Do you know what they're not, Jim? Here's how you measure up. You just like take your finger and put it from the like hip to the knee, and then just move it up. And knee goes from hip to shoulder blade. So your knee should go to the shoulder blade, and then you take your same fingers and you go from knee to ankle, and it measures off. Yeah, it looks long. They're long legs, but it all measures off proportionately.
Fair enough.
Yep, because the thing you got to pay attention to is her shirt. Her skirt comes up to the middle of her waist, but that would be around her belly
button.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably what's throwing you off a little, but yeah, dude, it all measures off if you want to measure it off. Eric's not going to make that mistake.
Maxine's look great recently.
Yes, dude. And like I said, so many great Maxines in this issue.
I think Eric may be making a point to age her up a little tiny bit.
I agree. I would say that
she's definitely looking a bit more housewife lately.
That's a funny way to put it. No, dude, definitely the braces are off. Like he's drawing her with like long legs and stuff. Like I think if you
the longer hair helps.
Yeah. If there was anybody who's like, oh, she's so little, it's like, no, dude. Like Malcolm's big. She's not little. Malcolm's big. You dumb fuck. Not much going on in this scene other than, like you said, Craig, we just get characterization. She's chatting up Angel, who is stuck at the border getting quarantined for COVID. So
I love this next page.
Yeah, this is great.
Paul Dragon, who I'm really enjoying. I was on the fence, but I'm enjoying, like, I don't know, getting this glimpse of, you know, some of this graphic fantasy, what could have been.
This other world.
The fun thing about this, I will say that I appreciate, is that Paul keeps in the book the fact that the multiple Earths merged.
Right.
Like, it's not just something that everybody's like, like it got introduced and then just forgotten. Like, for Paul, that's a big part of his life now, is trying to sort out, like, what's real and what's not.
So it's a little thing, but if you notice, it's also, this isn't Paul Dragon, this is Flash Mercury Dragon.
Yeah.
Because this was early in his career when he was merged with Johnson, William Johnson. Yeah. And, of course, William Johnson was not Star in this universe. Star was somebody else.
Right.
Do you know who he was? Is that known?
They tell you. Yeah, he said it in the 252.
He's not Chris, is it? Was it Chris Robinson?
Yeah, he's like, he says it in 252.
Oh, cool. Wait, I'm an idiot, because Johnson took the Star in the Savage world after the fact. It would be Chris. It would have to be.
But the Bionic Man, Joseph Strange, like, isn't that kind of cool? Like, yeah. I was like, and then, like, I love the, like, subtle, like, difference where he's like, well, no, here I'm just a normal dude. I work on bionic parts. I help rebuild Super Patriot. Isn't that kind of neat?
Yep. Yeah. Well, that means he must have been part of Project Born Again.
I mean, just a little wrinkle. I love
that. Unless he means like his second rebuild after after Cyberface was taken care of.
It could be.
But his character is pretty interesting because Joseph Strange, the Bionic Man, because apparently, but Eric described him as basically like a Bionic Man type of like play on, which obviously he's called the Bionic Man, but you can clearly see there's a Luke Cage influence going on too.
Yeah, the Sweet Christmas, the headband data and like fro combo.
It's so 70s. It's great.
The Buccaneer boots. Love it, dude. I love his little look. It's funny too. You can tell like Star's way more like,
and
holds up.
Eric also said he did not actually remember what his color scheme was, because of course all of his reference material burned up in a fire.
Sure.
So he kind of had to workshop it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came out pretty good. Yellow's a good color.
Oh yeah, dude, it's great. And who knows? What's cool about this is that like he could meet this dude, and then it's like, well, that's just the end of Joseph Strange. Like that's it. You never see him again. Or Joseph could be like, damn, dude, I was a hero. Like I can kind of remember this stuff now, and he has like the knowledge to like make bionic parts. I don't know. It's neat. I think it like opens a door, or it could go nowhere.
Well, I think what he alludes to though is that he exploded in the alternate reality somehow, and he was rebuilt like a bionic.
Yeah,
man.
so he had a bit of like Super Patriot's origin in him.
Oh, okay. Cool. It's great. Like you said, Craig, I think this is really cool, like Paul's quest to like sort of like suss out like what is consistent with his world makes Paul so much more interesting.
Yeah, and he's striking out.
Yeah, left and right.
Yeah, I think it's because he's Paul and he's not Dragon. So he's Paul with Dragon's memories, where he's in a world where everyone has their memories and only some of like his world's memories. So he's going to have a hard time finding anybody who has a strong connection to his world.
I'd love to learn more about Paul. Like, was he like beamed into William Johnson's body when he was like?
I think that's the gist of it. They were merged and then they were separated, and when they were separated, he was green.
Right. Well, was he a Krillian that was merged into? That was. I don't know. I just got a lot of questions.
He was Fonte's champion, wasn't he? Wasn't that how it works? Like kind of like a Shazam thing.
Could have been.
And then he split him up.
You remember that?
Maybe I don't.
I think this is one of those things that Eric may have mentioned in the past, but I'm vague on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see. This is see. If I was doing this,
here we go.
I would be having a lot of fun with it. I would be like writing up like who's who in the DC universe or Marvel Handbook like style bios to throw in the back of the issue, just for this very purpose.
Just to fuck with people.
Just to fuck with people. Just to say, look at this fucking character. Look at all the history he had that you never saw.
Right.
But that's me because I revel in that crap. But Eric likes to live in the now.
Well, what's funny is we're kind of getting that with Paul. Like, Paul's like, yeah, man, dude, you were like me, you, and Star. And he's like, nah. So you're kind of getting like, here's this dude with a past that really doesn't exist. Or maybe it did. Like, maybe Eric like actually did these issues. But like, you're kind of getting that in a little bit with like Paul's quest.
Like, I'd be desperate to write backups that are just about Paul and his history. But that's me again.
It's that you described it as desperate. I just gotta write those Paul stories.
Look at all these stories that you could write an entire another comic book about Paul.
You really could. That's what makes him interesting.
Eric did.
Yeah, exactly.
He probably doesn't want to revisit it. He's done it.
Right. No, it makes Paul super interesting. Whereas if it was just Dragon,
now there's the highbrow spin-off comic I want. Paul Dragon.
Dude, you want to know what's funny? There are so many people that want Dragon back that if he did a Paul like mini series, like 6 issues or something, it would probably sell like fucking gangbusters.
Because they wouldn't know what they were buying.
Because they don't know what they're buying. They just see Dragon and think. Oh man, original Dragon's back. I know I saw a lot of posts where people were like, oh man, it's the main man. The main man's back. Classic.
He drew his fin all wrong, though. I like how he used to draw it better.
Yeah, I like original Finn better, but whatever. Nah, dude. I think that miniseries would sell like hotcakes.
It'd be fun.
How hilarious is it that we get this scene with Joseph Strange? You flip the page, it's just a splash of Malcolm just getting knocked the F out.
Right.
And then it goes right into the Angel Frank Jr. Scene.
It's great pacing. It's great pacing. Like I was talking when we started this, if you are not a longtime FINcast listener, Eric kind of does Dragon in different phases and modes and stuff. And one of the ways that he does Dragon is many irons in the fire, which is just basically lots of little plot threads. He's just juggling left and right like crazy, and it works so good. And this Malcolm fight, just being in the middle, like sandwiched in between, it's so good. Because it lets you know, while Paul's doing his little quest, Malcolm's getting his fucking ticket punched down at the docks.
Right.
I love that the Angel. I love that Angel kept her weight on for this scene. I didn't expect it.
Oh, I guess she does have a bit of a chin there in the fourth panel.
Yeah. Yeah, she's been eating during lockdown.
She needs to go punch some bad guys for a couple days.
You got to wonder how that metabolism works.
Like, inject yourself some dragon blood, hit the freak out, taken care of.
But seriously, like legit, like here's a person with superhuman physiology. Is she gonna snap back once she gets out there and's kicking ass?
I mean, it worked out for Barbaric and Ricochet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, if you recall, dear listeners, got a little Dick Tasty across the head during a protest. He took a knee, and old Dick didn't like that. So he decided to pistol whip the rookie cop in the old Casaba melon. And we get to see the repercussions. When we left 252, we kind of thought Frank was maybe dead, potentially even.
Mm.
It's not the case.
Well,
Did you guys have any doubts?
Well, I don't think he's out of the woods yet.
He could.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be walking around with a cane for the rest of his life or something.
The rest of his life?
I don't know.
Head trauma is crazy dangerous.
You're right. You are correct.
Any number of things could mess with him now.
Could be a long road to recovery, too. Man,
just give him some dragon blood.
Yeah, that solved most problems.
Fix him up. Freak out, which is illegal now. Little freak out, little dragon blood. Perfect. No, I love everything about this page, fellas. I love Thicker Angel. I love that he didn't shy away from that. I like Frank's little dazed sort of expression where he can't quite tell if it's Angel. Good stuff. And then, oh boy, someone definitely got clocked at the docks. Look at this man laid on his ass for the first time in his book.
Yeah. What the hell? What the hell? How come I'm all wet? What happened? Yeah. I love that Rogue Warrior did that.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't accidentally kill them all? How did that work?
I love, dude, the best. This is the one that sells it. Wait, did I lose? Yeah.
So this is the scene where I think on Facebook Eric posted some pages where we were talking about earlier that he was going to have some fish guy kind of pull him out of the water and save him.
Right. Correct.
But it just it took too much out of the issue to do that. So just a weird little note, a page or a couple of pages that got tossed.
Too much real estate, but worth looking up if you have Eric on Facebook and Twitter too. If you have him on his social media, you can see the page. But
instead, Ivan fished him out of the drink.
Ivan, who has got that funny expression, dude. Look at him.
It must be hella strong to drag Malcolm out of the water.
He's in the water. Malcolm floats. You just gotta pull.
Yeah, just pull. He's a big dude, but he still floats. Malcolm got his shit. He got his shit clocked for an hour. He was out. Think about that. He was knocked the fuck out for an hour.
That's pretty crazy for a chosen one,
right?
I didn't think concussions bothered him too much.
Did he? That's Rogue Warrior.
Maybe he fucking died and it took him that long to come back.
Dude, that's what's funny is you don't know. Like, he could have just brain damaged the shit out of him and just his brain was down there under the water working itself out. But Malcolm, the dialogue here, dude, talk about some delicious dialogue. Oh, yeah. Baby. 2 words. North Force.
North Force. Well, every country's got to have their Alpha Flight.
I want to see North Force, don't you?
I want to see North Force get murdered by the Seeker.
No.
There's got to be some kind of Captain Canuck type dude.
Moose.
Has to be, right?
A moose man, a Mountie character.
Sasquatch guy.
A Sasquatch, yes.
Trouble with that is Alpha Flight's already done all that.
I know.
Well, do Canadians have any kind of urban legends like we have? Like cryptids, like Spring Hill Jack or the Mothman?
I'm absolutely sure they probably do.
Andrew Detremont, please write in. Tell us what your cryptids are. I want to know this Canadian cryptids.
Bago Milkman.
Bago Metric System. Captain Metric System. Malcolm not only introduces the incredibly tantalizing North Force, but he gives you a little status quo on everybody. So he's alone in Canada, more or less, is the gist of it. But he lets us know that, Johnson boys, widow girls went back to America. And Angel is down in, America with Frank.
It is kind of funny to me that Malcolm is now finding himself in a very similar situation that his dad was in early on in Dragon. The whole reason they put together Freak Force is because he was outnumbered significantly.
Right.
So maybe Malcolm's going to put together a team.
North Force.
Just call his buds from Freak Force.
Guys,
SOS Montreal.
Do you love or do you completely love that Malcolm name dropped Youngblood?
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's great.
I like it.
I love it. I love it that Eric was just like, you know what? Fuck that guy. I'm saying Youngblood. For listeners, Liefeld lost Youngblood. So, you would assume, it would be safe to assume that they would just be sort of, quietly forgotten. Nope. Malcolm's like, yo, get the SOS or Youngblood. Like, that's so good, dude. What did it say? There's like, is he exaggerating? He says there's 150 members.
Maybe.
Like, is that an exaggeration, or are they that many vicious circle goons?
Well, whatever it is, it's a lot.
I think he's exaggerating, but still.
Busfuls. Like, buses hold a lot of people. Weren't there several buses that came up?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
I think 150 could be legit.
However,
probably not that.
However many is too many.
50 at least listed.
He's just one man, guys.
Maxine's really rude.
She's not rude. She's funny, dude.
I'm really kind of annoyed with her. This is inappropriate. Have some tact.
The kids don't know what they're hearing, dude.
I don't know. Amy is, like I said, talks in complete sentences and can talk down a tiger. I'm pretty sure she knows what she's saying.
She doesn't know what porn is. You wouldn't have known.
I mean, you don't
She's
know
never
what you don't know what I knew.
Did you know? I did, actually, but I'm just saying, did you?
Not really.
All right. Yeah, I had a shitty older sister. I saw some stuff I shouldn't have seen. But
It's all making sense.
it's all coming together. I think her dialogue is funny. It's definitely rude, but it's kind of funny because it's an interesting dynamic that I didn't think of, where she's sort of saying, like, I don't feel bad about what I've done because of what you did.
Yeah. I
just think that's fun, an interesting dynamic because, and of course, obviously, we see it leads to sparks later, but like, you gotta think poor old Maxine had that like whole thing. It drove her to being an alcoholic, like her viral video, and then here her damn mom goes and releases a porn. It probably does feel like a load off her shoulders. You know what I'm saying?
It's just strange scene.
It says nobody can, there's nothing that they can say to her because she didn't intentionally release a porno like they did.
By the way, according to the Savage Dragon wiki, it's wiki.savagedragon.com. There are roughly 85 current members of the Vicious Circle that we know about.
So Malcolm, totally exaggerating.
It's still a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Could be more, not that haven't been drawn on the page, but just saying. I don't think Malcolm's sitting there counting everyone. Probably feels like 150.
He's getting the shit beat out of him. He's like 1, 2.
It's got to be a crazy thing, right? You're Malcolm Dragon and 150 of like villains that hate your father coming over the border and moving into your town.
Right. Like, he knows Rogue Warrior fought his dad. You know what I mean?
And Rogue Warrior alone just pretty much busted his ass.
Right. It's good, dude.
We get this weird scene where Malcolm's getting interviewed.
Kind of a classic Dragon thing to get interviewed by the press. Because never forget, Dragon, Malcolm, they're celebrities.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. Like, they're just sort of like talking to him about current events, really. Like, the alien ban is gone in America. So they're like, it's the logical question. Like, we asked ourselves, we were like, well, you know, is he going to go back to America now? And like,
Yeah, they remind us he's a dual citizen, so.
Well, America doesn't acknowledge dual citizenship. I don't know if Canada does too. I'm going to look that up.
isn't he there kind of as a refugee, though, anyway? Like Frank, who was it that made the arrangements for him to go up north? Was it the captain?
Yeah.
Well, he kind of dumped him at the border and said, go.
Yeah. It's not like he set it up.
Canada kind of just accepted him because they kind of needed a superhero.
All right.
Did you guys notice little Billy Batson with his Shazam face mask?
Bros, he's in the press. Now, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Boy reporter.
Yeah.
I love it. We know old man Dr. Savannah's out there somewhere. Could Shazam be far behind?
How funny is the argument between May and Maxine with the speed lines and they're screaming at each other?
Dude, it's great. I think that shit is so funny. I like the, again, it's kind of interesting. Like, I get that Maxine is kind of being a little bit rude, grabbing their genitals and like sort of mocking them for what they did or whatever. But like, you do get that sort of like Maxine's just giving her a little bit of a warning. Like, yo, look, like you have no idea what happened. Like, you can't go back. Like, I hope you're ready. And their mom's just like, dude, we needed money. Like, we're not going to let our kids starve. Right. So it's just interesting dynamics. Like, it also sets up potential consequences, like what's going to happen to them. And then we get to see the absolute best.
Good old Walter.
The best birthday party ever. A tiger ride. Little Julia. It's so cute, dude.
I love the full figure of Malcolm walking in the door. It's a great shot.
Oh, yeah. Great use of those, like, huge vertical panels. I like all their reactions are pretty much, they're just shocked at Walter. Stop, please stop. Right. It's like, he's just giving them a ride, dude. It's no big deal.
That's just a giant tiger in their bedroom.
He's wearing clothes.
So if there was some strange guy in your bedroom wearing clothes, you'd be okay with it?
I mean, if he was a Tiger Man, I'd be super into it. I'd be like, Tiger Man.
I bet you would.
I would, dude. I'd be like, Tiger Man, we got to get some pizza.
It's cool. I'm only like 3 years old.
By the way, Faster Pussycat, kill.
Yeah.
Huh?
Was it Russ Myers?
That's it, yeah. Classic. A little wink, wink, nudge, nudge for the cinema savvy amongst you Finheads.
And then the last page where you get a little dialogue between Rogue Warrior and Dart, which is kind of cool. Dart putting him back in his place.
Great faces, too. Like, just great faces here. Great, like, profile shot of Rogue Warrior. Just like Rogue Warrior's little like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind a few of those benefits. Like, he's so scuzzy, dude. It's great.
I do like he kind of jumps straight to the fact that he can rip her in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a cool moment because Dart doesn't like even sweat it, dude. She's like, nah, I'm tougher than I look, and the whole circle come down on you, dude. You don't want to do that.
I don't know. I don't think the circle's that. I mean, in the past, the circle's been pretty much ruled by survival of the fittest. Like, whoever survives is the boss.
They respect Dart, dude, clearly.
Yeah, lead by fear, like Overlord. Dart is vicious.
I mean, I guess
she had a room full of heads.
Yeah, but she also had the God Sword. It was a different time. When you don't have the God Sword, you're not quite as deadly.
But she's got some loyal troops now, I guess.
Maybe. I mean, everyone...
She's cunning. She's
I still
smart.
don't think that the Vicious Circle has a lot of like individual loyalty. It's all about just who's got the best deal at the moment.
Right.
I mean, look at Rogue Warrior, dude. All it took was a promise and some tail, and he rolled over.
It's true.
What do you guys think was in the shipment?
Well, that's what's interesting. Was it just a little heist, or was it like, part of a greater scheme?
I don't know. It seems like they make a point to like talk about, I intercepted the shipment as you commanded. There's... I don't know. I feel like there's something.
I mean,
to
it might have been a chance to like bop Malcolm.
Could have been weapons. Could have been like freak out, because freak out's not illegal in Canada that we know of, is it? I shouldn't have asked that. Yeah, it probably is, isn't it?
It's always freak out.
It's always they get freak out. But yeah, I am Craig. Absolutely, I'm interested in what was that, just a heist for like money, or like what the hell was in the shipment?
Right.
Dart comes off as a better leader than I think I've seen her. She's like, every member has a place and a purpose, and I'm like, dude, that's kind of like she's got something going on. You know what I mean?
Well, she has to. Like I said, if she doesn't have the God Sword to rule by fear, she's got to kind of rule by effectiveness.
Right.
So she has to like acquiesce to these egos instead of just chopping their heads off.
I wonder how many Vicious Circle members Dart's boning.
Do you think Dart needs like a new identity? What
do you mean?
Now that there's a second Dart running around, maybe Allison kind of needs her own thing.
I wouldn't imagine that this Dart would change her shtick. But remember when we said Poison Dart? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. Like put her in like a black version of the costume, or...
Ooh, black. Can you imagine Dart's costume black?
Kinda.
Fucking awesome, dude. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a new identity, but also, too, I don't know that she would change. Like, maybe she'd just, like, rough up the other Dart, like, force her to change. Like, I'm the one true Dart, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I think you guys, there was a really well-written letter in the letters page. The first question of that well-written letter. I think it was the second letter.
I know what you mean, and that is a terrible letter. I think that's one of the worst letters I've ever seen in the columns. Terrible, full of typos.
It's a pretty good... There are some typos in there. It definitely had some good questions.
Some cheesesteak eating Magoo. No, Craig actually touches upon this right in the letters column. It's fucking awesome. I was like, Craig Olsen, what? Yeah, you actually talk about the darts, and Eric has an answer for that. He's like, nah, dude, it's like Linda Carter and Gal Gadot. How's it, Gal Gadot?
My question was, wouldn't people get them confused? Because you got an evil one and a good one.
And
if you're like my thought was, if you're a good one, why would you even want to like dress up like the evil one?
Right.
Because she's so fucking horrible.
Right. And he was like, nah, they just dress different. Or they look different. He's like, they're drawn similar, but they look different. Yeah, people in the world know. I'm kind of with you, Craig. I feel like you wouldn't want to dress like a villain. Like, imagine if a real superpowered dude came down to Earth and started, like, dressing like Superman, was just, like, fucking murdering people all the time. Like, almost overnight, everybody would just destroy all their Superman shit.
Yeah.
People would be like, yeah, throw it in the fire. Like, they would hate it. You know what I mean?
You could definitely still use your dart powers and not dress the same way.
Right.
But, whatever. What do I know?
You know what, Craig? The best answer ever, though, is when you ask about Blossom and Dumpling getting crap on everything. Dude, the answer is great. He's like, they don't smell like fresh human excrement so much as they do like cow manure. It's not odor-free, but it's not overwhelming. That is...
It's like there's some thought put into that.
That is funny as fuck.
It's not fresh crap. It's just kind of like crap that's been out on your lawn for a week.
Fertilizer smells terrible anyway, though, dude. Can you imagine riding in a van to Canada with fertilizer?
Yeah. I grew up smelling silage every spring. You get used to it.
There's parts of Pennsylvania that just like mushroom farms and it just smells like hot shit.
Ugh.
They grow in the manure.
Manure. I hate manure.
So we got to talk about this Vanguard story, or rather, the Ethereal Warriors backup.
You know what? It's okay to call it a Vanguard story because our man steals the show, baby.
So just real quick, this is basically Vanguard is giving a presentation back to his people on his homeworld about the status of his mission on Earth, and he's talking about all the Earth's like protectors and defenders. In fact, we see Dragon and Freak Force and the Wildcats and Youngblood and Spawn and Wildstar and Pit and
Union.
Yeah.
And is this guy with a stick? Is he from
Union?
Oh, he's from Union. Oh, it is Union.
I think that's his name, Union.
Yeah, Union. He had his own comic.
Oh, I meant the old guy with the stick on the lower left.
Oh, that's a Liefeld character. He's like Brigade.
Oh, I thought it was like for that Phantom. That was that Phantom, not Phantom Force or Phantom Force, the Kirby thing.
Nope, it's definitely Youngblood.
Yep, for sure.
And then there's Supreme, and everyone knows. And apparently the
Striker. And
what are they called? Their homeworld is Calyptus. The Calyptians. They know who Supreme is.
Yep.
Very frightening.
Yeah, they're like, Supreme! Oh, shit!
Because Supreme, I guess, was in space for a long time, so he must have made some rumblings.
Yep. Remember, he shows up and fights Vanguard in issue 1 of Vanguard. He remembers.
Throws him in jail.
But then it kind of turns out that this was like a delayed message that Vanguard sent via like messenger, like signal, and like it's kind of a neat effect because it's they basically have like this dummy robot they project a hologram over, so it's like Vanguard standing in the room giving his report, but really he's on Earth on a date.
It is a holodrone, and it is a cool idea.
So yeah, the date's pretty fun because Roxanne's a great character. Of course, you get Roxanne and Vanguard smooching, which is fun for them, and they're in Paris. So Vanguard gets called away by Wally because Modem escaped. Remember Modem?
Oh, yeah.
We covered that in the retro review. She got put in a satellite like beyond the moon. And I guess...
trapped in her like electrical form.
Yeah. But apparently she's escaped, and Wally and Vanguard rush out to stop her. But they leave Roxanne behind in Paris. And
with no money, no passport. She can't speak French.
Right.
Not ideal.
I'm going to give Frank some praise all over the place for this. Good Lord. I know this is older work, but it doesn't matter. This is solid as a rock. Roxanne holding on to Vanguard's one big finger is fucking awesome. And like Van licking his lips and like just again the poses.
He's licking his lips and her lipstick shined.
The kiss is a great pan.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that's tricky with Vanguard, and I've said it before, I know we've talked about it before, is he's not an ugly guy. He could be drawn super ugly, and we've seen that.
I mean, he's got no nose. He's got a bat nose.
Right. So it's hard to make him. He's kind of handsome in a way. It's a weird line.
Well, it helps that he's massive and ripped.
Yeah.
You want to know what's funny, bros? I don't even care or know if you're fans of the show, but like, if you do know, this is extra funny. Steven Universe has fucking Vanguard nose.
That's true.
Like just like chopped off, like just like just 2 nostrils.
I mean, that's just cartooning. I mean, I believe Vanguard literally has no nose.
Yeah. He's got a Voldemort situation.
Yeah. He's like a Batman.
But Craig's right. Like, Frank does a good job where, like, Vanguard doesn't look, like, hideous. He kind of has a handsome look to him. He's just an alien, that's all.
And they do, they play with it. Because if you look on the previous page when he's giving the presentation, he's got, like, a little nose nub.
Right.
Just a little tiny one. He actually looks the most handsome in that top right-hand panel.
It's because he's got
where
his
he's holding
helmet
his
off
helmet.
and he's got his Superman
Yeah, he does have Superman hair. You're exactly right. It's the Superman hair.
Well, dashing.
That's what he's supposed to be, Superman, if he was really an alien.
But I love the salute. Like, that's just a great pose. Like, with, his, like, arm, the salute, holding the little helmet. Like, it's just so cool. Like, Frank did such a fucking great job.
That's the cool thing about the Vanguard characters. The giant boots and the giant hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes the character.
It really does. Yeah, it sells it.
And the Speedo.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a bizarre design.
I love
You know what? Here's the thing: is it's a test of a good artist or not. Like, a bad artist can't draw Superman well because they can't rock it, but a good artist can make Superman look awesome. It's the same thing with Vanguard. Vanguard has a great design. If you're a good artist, you can make that design look good. Here, Frank makes this design sing. But we've seen shitty artists do a bad job with Vanguard.
We've seen good artists that just can't do it too.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh, agree. Absolutely. So, yeah. Absolutely killer. And I think Frank nails some of that, like, Liefeld cross-hatching. Like, on the little, like, extreme characters. It's just good, dude. Just a great backup.
Yeah, I'm loving seeing it in color and revisiting it because it's been a while since I read the original material, so it's almost like reading it for the first time.
This for me is new, and I gotta say I've loved every minute of it.
If the cool thing is, like, you look at the splash with well, it's not really a splash, but the panel with all the Freak Force characters and stuff, and it looks so much better in color than in the black and white issue because you can see so much more with the color,
Sure.
The black and white, I'm pretty sure it's like pure black and white. There's not even like gradients, I don't think.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
Not even like gray.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I have to look at it again. But yeah, it definitely like looks so much better in color.
And it's cool because, like, it really sells the colors really sold the holograms.
Yeah. It's similar to Urban Legends where you get a better feel for holograms or him phasing in and out when he teleports.
I said the colors, but of course it's Nikos. Just absolutely fucking killing it.
Yeah. Yep.
So good, dude. Yeah, this backup is fucking TNT. From the date to the presentation, like, everything about this is good. Here's a flip cover for you, Jim. What do you think about this dragon flip cover?
Look at that grinning face. Look at that great looking fin front on. That doesn't look like a flip over.
What's funny is, so I actually got to see this flip cover in the comic shop, sitting on the shelf. And as funny as it seems, just to have this, like, old ass The Dragon logo and, Paul just grinning at you like a psychopath. It is, it's still catchy. It's still eye-catching when it's sitting on the shelf.
Can you just imagine a 6-issue miniseries with that logo on every issue?
That logo.
Jim, yes, I can. Oof. Hey, I will say this.
Spooky.
I don't... It does have spooky. I was going to say, it's so funny you said that, dude. Look at the Walking Dead's logo. It's got that sort of rough, like, look to it, Yeah. The Dragon.
Look at that A. Oof.
Yeah, man. Beautiful. Spooky. Wow. Well, hell of an issue, fellas. I mean, give me a feeling. What are you feeling on it overall? Like, strong? Good?
It is a solid issue. It is an ideal issue of Savage Dragon.
I'm going to say that to me, it felt strong as hell. I think that getting to see the Vicious Circle shine, getting to see all those great designs, including a lot of Malcolm era guys, we got a great mix of classic Vicious Circle goons. We got a great mix of Malcolm era enemies. We're always criticizing Malcolm for not having recurring enemies. Dude, they were in this issue. And I think that you had interesting dynamics introduced with Maxine and her relationship with her mom. I think you had an interesting character introduced in terms of Walter. I think that you got to see Malcolm put on his ass and put in a hard place. He's alone in Canada. I think it had a dynamic change. Angel kind of acts like she's going to be in America going forward. She's like, I'm not leaving your side. And Frank's got a head injury and he's stuck in bed. Like you guys said, the road to recovery. I just think a lot of stuff happened in this issue. And the backup was good. So for me, I'm feeling as strong as hell.
We've had so many strong issues lately.
Yeah.
Big issues.
I'm trying to think what the last issue I really didn't like was. And I think I got to go all the way back to fucking All God in the fucking Plains.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
That's pretty.
It was just a while now.
That's a long time, yeah.
There have been some that have been a little more missed, but I just feel like you can feel it when Eric's excited about certain plots or storylines, and I feel like the book's even more reinvigorated with the kids kind of growing up a little more on their own, with the Vicious Circle, versus Malcolm, with Paul Dragon in the book. I feel with these new panel layouts have kind of brought in a breath of fresh air kind of into the book. I just feel like his art has been top notch lately. He's always great, but just feel like it sings lately. I feel like the coloring and the lettering, I feel like this book is in a good place right now.
Oh yeah,
it's in tip-top form.
Agree.
I'm really happy that every issue I'm super stoked on. It's just fun. I think after reading this and listening to you, Raven, at first I was going to say, this is good, kind of like bridge issue to kind of like build up the storyline after we had the cartoonist, a special issue, and after, the anniversary issue, we're kind of building back up again. But I also feel like you said, a lot has happened here with Malcolm really getting knocked on his ass. We don't know what's in that shipment. Could that be start of a new plot point?
Sure.
Rogue Warrior back, Walter introduced, just a lot, Paul Dragon still on his quest. I'm just having a lot of fun with it.
We say it often, it's a phrase we say on the show, but quite a good bit, but it's just true. It's never not true. More happens in a single issue of Savage Dragon than like a year of plots in another in a corporate comic,
Yeah. And I'm super excited seeing these preview covers come out. Like, I think we're the next 3 issues, there's going to be a lot happening, it seems like. I feel like there's going to be more of this Vicious Circle battle. There could be the introduction of possibly Mako or somebody that's going to be big with that cover with all the teeth. There's going to be more with Paul Dragon, maybe looking for Jennifer, or Sue is what he calls her.
Right.
But, there's a lot to be kind of excited. There's a lot of plot points out there that are kind of going to be coming to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely exciting. I really can't wait to see what happens, or where things go next.
And one last thing also is, like you said, the Vanguard serial that's going to be in the book for a bunch of issues. So we'll always have that. We'll have that to look forward to for the next bunch of issues.
Yeah,
and it's always good when you have a great dragon-centric related backup serial.
And it's been strong as hell.
And it's Frank Fosco,
Yeah.
which is always great.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Fantastic. I think it's time we talk about Savage Dragon 254. Sorry, Greg. I ruined it. The vicious circle triumphant. Malcolm Dragon is overwhelmed by the superior firepower of the newly assembled and fully operational Vicious Circle. A dark cloud falls over the city of Toronto. Meanwhile, Paul Dragon tries to put together the pieces of his shattered past. Comes with our highest possible recommendation.
Of course it does.
And the cover is a awesome picture of Malcolm just taking a spin through the air. He's just getting his shit rocked by somebody. So we now know probably Rogue Warrior, but could be Dart, could be anybody.
Any of those 150 Vicious Circle characters.
Right. Could be something in those in that shipment that powers up Fountainhead, and our boy Fountainhead finally gets actual face lasers.
Maybe he just trips.
could be that too, you know. Oh my goodness.
Face lasers.
I am no more Fountainhead. You will call me Face Laser.
Taser face.
Awesome show, fellas. Absolutely fucking fantastic. So fun. Always love talking Dragon with you. I could do it for another 100 FINcasts easy.
See you in another 10 years. I'll be 75.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, what in the hell do you eat? You look great. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Think about the next 10 years, dude.
No, I refuse.
It'll be PlayStation 9? Yeah. That's how I mark
It'll be Red Dawn. I'll be a member of the Wolverines.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Making bootleg Savage Dragon comics.
The president will be Kid Rock. I predict it. Canadians will finally stop worshiping the Queen. They'll start worshiping Prince Harry instead. It's exciting.
It is. I think we should wrap this
Yep,
up.
let's do it.
We're going
Yep,
off.
we're in the weeds. Thank you, fellas.
Off the rails. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Have a good one.